Chapter 232 Star Domain Rankings. Please subscribe. _2. It's time we met. Lin Yuan invited his parents and sister into his personal space. In less than a moment, Lin Xiaoqing, Lu Qiong, and Lin Yi appeared in the personal space. Brother, Lin Yi looked at Lin Yuan with admiration. Now standing before her was not just her brother, but the peak master of Xianxia, whose countless fans throughout the Qikuan star domain yearned for a glimpse. Xiaoyuan, these few days you spent on the Qikuan main star, Kanglin star was celebrating like it was a festival. Governor Song personally made an appearance, congratulating you on becoming the peak master of Xianxia alongside all the citizens. Numerous corporate enterprises even spent vast amounts of money to hang a huge banner outside the planet. Lu Qiong said with a smile. Lin Yuan smiled silently. Becoming the peak master of Xianxia had indeed had a profound impact on Kanglin star. Without mentioning the many other benefits, let me point out one. From now on, Kanglin star might become the must-visit holy land of the entire Qikuan star domain. Every year, countless tourists from major star domains will specifically visit Kanglin star to witness the planet where the peak master of Xianxia once resided. Just from tourism revenue alone, Kanglin star could probably earn a fortune. All of Kanglin star, from top to bottom, owes Lin Yuan gratitude. Xiaoyuan, Lin Xiaoqing was overjoyed. Our Lin family has truly honored our ancestors. This is not just any honoring of ancestors. I don't know how many good deeds I did in my past life. The ancients say, when one man attains the Tao, his pets ascend to heaven. In our case, it's more than ascending to heaven. Those big shots are nearly kneeling at our doorstep. In these past few days, Lin Xiaoqing had felt deeply moved. Previously, Lin Yuan was known as the champion of the arena competition. But in the eyes of Kanglin star's top decision-makers, he was at most given extra attention, as they valued only Lin Yuan himself. However now, these big shots treated their family even more warmly and respectfully than their own parents. Lin Yuan listened with a smile as his parents and sister shared their feelings. As the peak master of Xianxia, his power and influence within the Qikuan star domain were terrifying. Not just the corporate forces of Kanglin star, but even one of the 5 great forces of the star domain like the Heiyu family had to try everything to curry his favor. And Lin Yuan's family members were certainly being showered with various praises. By the way, Xiaoyuan, as if recalling something, Lu Qiong pulled out a list and said, Governor Song gave me a list to give to you. It contains the names of people who cursed you online during the Heiyu family incident. In this era of interstellar civilization, every citizen enjoys the freedom of speech. But this freedom of speech is on the condition that it does not harm other citizens. Online insults, strictly speaking, can be pursued by the insulted party. Punish the few ringleaders and let the rest go. Lin Yuan looked at the list and said casually. Given the pressure exerted by the Heiyu family at that time and their guidance of public opinion, countless citizens had been led astray. If all were pursued, perhaps 1/10 of Kanglin star's citizens would be unfortunate. After chatting with his family, Lin Yuan disconnected the virtual world connection. Should be about settled now, right? Lin Yuan waited for the response from the goddess of wisdom. A moment later, the solemn voice of the goddess of wisdom transmitted. Respected 5th-rank citizen Lin Yuan, according to the final verdict, the updated martial path evolutionary path you've provided has significantly lowered its threshold and greatly enhanced its potential. Apart from the original value of the evolutionary path, you will be awarded an additional 500,000 merit points. 500,000 merit points. Lin Yuan was somewhat surprised. This time he had only updated the martial path evolutionary path, without uploading subsequent content for the martial path evolutionary path. He originally thought that an award of 1 or 200,000 merit points would suffice, so 500,000 merit points were unexpected. To know, even combining the first-tier chapter to the 5th-ranked chapter of the previous martial path evolutionary path wouldn't even come close to 500,000 merit points. The probability of advancing to the 6th rank is 95%. The probability of advancing to the 7th rank is 30%, and the probability of advancing to the 8th layer evolution path is 10%. Lin Yuan also glanced at the latest information on the martial path evolutionary path. The probability of advancing to the 6th rank evolution path has not changed, still at 95%. Lin Yuan slightly nodded, feeling nothing strange. A 95% chance of advancing to the 6th rank represented a very high probability, as most 5th rank evolution paths have only a 30 to 40% chance of advancing to the 6th rank. Over 50% is considered extremely good, let alone 95%. The chance for advancing to the 7th rank has increased by 10%, and the chance for advancing to the 8th layer has increased by 5%. Lin Yuan speculated that the increase in the probability of advancing to the 7th and 8th ranks was entirely due to the integration of various energy systems, which induced a kind of transformation and sublimation to the entire martial arts evolution system. Let's take a look at the latest rankings of the martial Tao evolutionary path. Lin Yuan continued to check the updated information of the martial Tao evolutionary path, looking at the rankings column. First in the Kanglin evolution ranking, 12th in the Qikuan evolution rankings. Lin Yuan's expression changed slightly. If he remembered correctly, weren't the martial Tao evolutionary path previously ranked 53rd in the Qikuan evolution rankings? 12th. Lin Yuan let out a sigh of relief. Ordinary evolvers might not understand what this meant. But as the peak master of Shursan, Lin Yuan naturally knew what it meant to be ranked in the top 50 on the Qikuan evolution rankings. The Qikuan evolution rankings were divided into 2 levels. The top 50. The bottom 50. The evolution paths in the top 50 were all 7th or 8th rank evolution pathways. As for the bottom 50, there were 7th rank evolution pathways and 6th rank evolution pathways. It was already unthinkable for the martial Tao evolutionary path to previously make it to the 53rd place in the Qikuan evolution rankings with a 5th rank evolution pathway. After all, from 50th to 100th place in the Qikuan evolution rankings were either 6th or 7th rank evolution pathways. But now, the martial Tao evolutionary path had actually made it into the top 50. And it was a prominent position in the top 50, 12th place. Keep in mind the martial Tao evolutionary path was still a 5th rank evolution pathway. A mere 5th rank evolution pathway had broken into a ranking dominated by 7th and 8th rank evolution pathways. Qikuan Prime Virtual World. Central Plaza area. Many evolvers and high-ranking citizens had gathered. In pairs and small groups, they talked quietly. Even though more than a year had passed, the main topic among the many evolvers on the plaza was still the martial Tao evolutionary path. There was no choice. The martial Tao evolutionary path was too exaggerated, too unique. The top 100 evolution paths of the Qikuan evolution rankings were 6th, 7th, and 8th rank evolution pathways. The only one mixed in was a 5th rank evolution pathway. It inevitably drew a second glance. I bet that once the 6th rank chapter of the martial Tao evolutionary path is uploaded, its ranking will definitely rise again, breaking into the top 50. Nonsense, now the martial Tao evolutionary path is already in the top 53. Once the 6th rank chapter is uploaded, the overall rank will rise. As long as the 6th rank chapter performs steadily, it could probably break into the top 30 or 20. All the evolution paths in the top 50 of the Qikuan evolution rankings are 7th or 8th rank evolution pathways. If the martial Tao evolutionary path can break into it with a 6th rank evolution pathway, TSK. The many evolvers talked rapidly among themselves. Just then, the Qikuan evolution rankings began to refresh. The 100 evolution paths on the ranking board simultaneously blurred. All the evolvers in the plaza stared at the evolution rankings full of anticipation. Several breaths later, the Qikuan evolution rankings refresh was complete. Damn it. The martial Tao evolutionary path has broken into the top 50. Not just the top 50, it's the 12th place. Almost broke into the top 10. What's going on? I thought after uploading the 6th rank chapter, it could about make it into the top 20 or 30. It seems I still underestimated the scholar who developed this evolution path. Let me see what is so exquisite about the 6th rank chapter of the martial Tao evolutionary path that it allowed the martial Tao evolutionary path to rise from 53rd to 12th place. Countless evolvers, filled with anticipation and excitement, went to the purchasing interface of the Martial Tao Evolutionary Path, looking to buy the 6th rank chapter. Immediately, everyone discovered a horrifying scene. Martial Tao Evolutionary Path did not have a 6th rank chapter. Chapter 233 beginning the 5th shuttle, end of this volume, please subscribe. What's going on? Where's the 6th rank chapter? Where is the 6th rank chapter of my Martial Path Evolutionary Path? Has the virtual world not updated? Or is it a network problem? Countless evolvers were in an uproar. In everyone's view, for the Martial Path Evolutionary Path to leap forward by more than 40 ranks from the original 53rd to the 12th, the only possibility was the upload of the 6th rank chapter. Without the enhancement of the 6th rank chapter, how could the Martial Path Evolutionary Path break into the 12th position on the Qigong Evolution rankings? In fact, even if the Martial Path Evolutionary Path had uploaded the 6th rank chapter, such a rapid rise in the rankings was incredible. However, incredible as it may be, it is understandable. After all, with an additional 6th rank chapter, the Martial Path Evolutionary Path was truly a 6th rank evolution path, and such potential for improvement, when thought through carefully, does make sense. But now, without the 6th rank chapter? Without the 6th rank chapter, how did we break into the 12th rank? Many evolvers initially thought it was a delay in the virtual world update, or a network latency in their area. That's what caused them not to see the 6th rank chapter. However, after communicating and finding that others also hadn't seen the 6th rank chapter, they were stunned. If it was just 1 or 2 evolvers who hadn't discovered the 6th rank chapter, it might have been due to other factors, an isolated case, or perhaps network latency. But if no one has seen the 6th rank chapter, then there's only one possibility. That is that the Martial Path Evolutionary Path doesn't have a 6th rank chapter. But this possibility leads to another astonishing fact. How did the Martial Path Evolutionary Path, without a 6th rank chapter, break into the 12th spot on the Qigong Evolution rankings? If you say that the Martial Path Evolutionary Path, with only up to the 5th rank, entered the 53rd spot on the Qigong Evolution rankings, it's like mixing an elementary student among a group of college students. Extremely conspicuous. Then still only with 5th rank, the Martial Path Evolutionary Path broke into the top 50, into the 12th position. It's akin to an infant with a pacifier mixing among a group of pitches? How the hell is that possible? What on earth is going on? Without uploading the 6th rank chapter, how is the Martial Path Evolutionary Path now 12th? It seems like the Martial Path Evolutionary Path has changed a bit. The word count of the 2nd layer chapter to the 5th stage section has been modified. It's normal for there to be modifications. The evolution paths on the ranking list aren't set in stone. Occasionally there are some changes, but that still doesn't explain how the Martial Path Evolutionary Path became 12th. Maybe the reason lies within the modified content. Many evolvers and high-level citizens began to notice that the content they had purchased from the 2nd layer chapter to the 5th stage section had changed. So everyone subconsciously started to review it. How is this possible? The Martial Path Evolutionary Path can incorporate any energy system? It's too incredible. No wonder there was such a significant climb in the rankings. The qualitative change, it boosts the potential of the Martial Path Evolutionary Path. A 6th rank evolver's expression changed slightly. With his insight, he could just make out the impact of the changes to the Martial Path Evolutionary Path. If the Martial Path Evolutionary Path was no longer limited to Taiyin and Taiyang, then the many evolvers of human civilization following the Martial Path Evolutionary Path would benefit, able to follow the paths they were proficient in. This could be a qualitative breakthrough in the chances of producing higher rank evolvers. No wonder the Martial Path Evolutionary Path, before uploading the 6th rank, was able to break into the top 12 on the Qigong Evolution rankings. No wonder the great scholar who established the Martial Path Evolutionary Path would personally update the path. Because this is extremely important for martial arts evolutionaries. Truly worthy of being an evolution scholar, to have expanded the Martial Path Evolutionary Path to such heights. No good, previously I was only vaguely aware of Taiyin and Taiyang, which is why I didn't follow the martial path evolutionary path. Now, I don't need to grasp Taiyin and Taiyang. The martial path evolutionary path can still be cultivated, so I need to switch evolution paths. Me too, this is the masterpiece of some evolution scholar. After all, there's definitely no mistake in following it for cultivation. Many evolvers left the Central Plaza area, clearly intending to pass the news on to their backing family powers. Chikuan Main Star, Palace at the peak of the 13 peaks. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. 500,000 merit points. It's enough for a promotion to a level 6 citizen. A smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. The perfected martial path evolutionary path had been rewarded with an enormous sum of 500,000 merit points by the goddess of wisdom. You should know that there are only a few ways to acquire merit points. Without exception, they are awarded for making contributions to human civilization. Other than founding a complete and new evolution path like Lin Yuan, or developing other technologies beneficial to human civilization, the main channel is to go to the battlefields of different races to kill alien beings and exchange for merit points. According to Lin Yuan's knowledge, killing alien strong ones would grant corresponding amounts of merit points. A 6th rank alien race strongman is worth 1,000 merit points. A 7th rank alien race strongman is worth between 10,000 and 100,000 merit points. An 8th rank alien race is worth over 1,000,000 merit points. The 500,000 merit points that Lin Yuan had received was equivalent to half an 8th rank alien race strongman, or perhaps dozens of 7th rank alien race strong ones. Of course, killing alien strong ones is just one way to obtain merit points. On the battlefields of different races, if one could lead an army of evolvers to victory in local warfare against the alien races. Chapter 234 starting the 5th shuttle, end of this volume, please subscribe, _2. Even without killing an alien strong one can still obtain the corresponding merit points. It's too dangerous. Lin Yuan slightly shook his head. On the battlefields of different races, earning merit points sounds easy. Killing a 6th rank alien strong one can earn you 1,000 points. But in reality, a 6th rank alien won't just wait for you to kill them. It requires evolvers to risk their lives. A 6th rank evolver wanting to kill a 6th rank alien strong one really needs to pay a great price, and that alien strong one isn't a fool either. If they know they are outmatched, they will flee. Defeating a 6th rank alien is easy. Killing them is difficult. And alien strong ones often do not come alone, but in clusters. In such situations, killing them is really difficult. It is the same with all 6th rank aliens. Not to mention the 7th and 8th ranks. Thousands of years ago, the Chikuan Star Lord, enraged by the assassination of a disciple, went on a killing spree on the alien battlefields. But most of those he killed were aliens below the 6th rank. Basically cannon fodder. The truly powerful aliens had fled early. And after a while, the Chikuan Star Lord was blocked by alien strong ones of the same rank. All the alien strong ones capable of stalemating with human civilization, close in power to the insect race notwithstanding, are extremely powerful. Upgrade to a 6th rank citizen, Lin Yuan thought to himself. His citizenship rank instantly upgraded from 5th rank to 6th rank. From 5th rank citizen to 6th rank citizen, it requires 500,000 merit points, which Lin Yuan had already saved by perfecting the martial path evolutionary path. Moments later, Lin Yuan successfully became a 6th rank citizen. At the same time, an email from the Human Civilization Alliance was sent to Lin Yuan's inbox. The email content generally introduced some of the many privileges of a 6th rank citizen. Most privileges of a 6th rank citizen are advanced versions of those of a 5th rank citizen. Besides, a 6th rank citizen compared to a 5th rank citizen has an additional benefit, a certain privilege. The benefit being that upon promotion to a 6th rank citizen, one will receive a bottle of evolution elixir issued by human civilization. 6th rank evolution elixir. The function of this evolution elixir is to forcibly elevate an evolver's physical body and soul to the 6th rank level. Of course, only the physical body and soul are enhanced. As for the comprehension of rules and the understanding of evolutionary paths, those will not change as they cannot be improved by external means. This benefit exists specifically for scientists and developers who aren't skilled in the paths of evolution. These scientists and developers might have made significant contributions to human civilization but lack evolutionary talent, being only second or third rank evolvers. And taking gene elixirs and the like carries the risk of death. So, once the level of citizenship reaches the 6th rank, one can obtain the 6th rank evolution elixir. The 6th rank evolution elixir, when taken, carries no risks, and the physical body and soul perfectly transform. Of course, human civilization grants such a benefit to 6th rank citizens primarily to enable them to live thousands to tens of thousands more years, to continue contributing to human civilization. 6th rank evolution elixir. Lin Yuan looked astonished. Such a rare treasure that can elevate an ordinary person to the status of 6th rank evolver in one stride is obviously priceless. At least Lin Yuan hadn't seen such a product on the market app when he was a 5th rank citizen, clearly not having sufficient privileges. However, evolvers who step into the 6th rank by taking the 6th rank evolution elixir are estimated to be at the lowest end of the 6th rank combat power, Lin Yuan was aware. The combat power of 6th rank evolvers is composed of multiple aspects. One is the basic strength of a 6th rank level. Another is mastery of the secret techniques they wield. Third is the degree of perception of rules. And fourth is the strength of their own cultivation evolutionary path. Evolvers who took the 6th rank evolution elixir possess only the basic strength of the 6th rank. The second privilege, or eligibility, of a 6th rank citizen is to participate in the Star Alliance conference held once every century. The so-called Star Alliance is an alliance formed of multiple star domains. Currently, the Chikuan Star Domain is part of the Anan Star Alliance. And the Star Alliance conference is initiated by the official Anan Star Alliance, with only the 6th rank citizens and above eligible to participate. At the Star Alliance conference, all participating citizens can propose their suggestions. The scale of these suggestions can vary greatly. On a small scale, it concerns individual benefits. For instance, a 6th rank citizen might suggest they lack a personal battleship and therefore apply to the Anan Star Alliance. The Anan Star Alliance will most likely allocate a battleship to this 6th rank citizen. On a large scale, it involves altering certain laws within the Anan Star Alliance, such as a 6th rank citizen who feels that the death penalty isn't humane and wants to abolish it. The Anan Star Alliance will consider this suggestion and eventually respond with approval, rejection, or reservation. Of course, the laws here solely refer to those internal to the Star Alliance. As for the charter laws enacted by the Cosmic Human Alliance, they are beyond what a 6th rank citizen can question. Star Alliance Conference? Lin Yuan pondered. This conference symbolizes the supreme power of a Star Alliance, and only 6th rank citizens who have made significant contributions to human civilization are qualified to participate. After carefully reviewing the many privileges of 6th rank citizens, Lin Yuan stood up and walked out of the palace. Take me to see the teacher. Lin Yuan glanced at the supervisor outside the palace. Yes, Peak Master, please follow me. The supervisor, showing great respect, led Lin Yuan towards the largest central mountain. I've seen the teacher, inside the Crimson Palace. Chapter 235 commencing the 5th shuttle, end of this volume, please subscribe, _3. Lin Yuan bowed slightly towards the Chikuan Star Lord, who was seated on the throne. Haha. My good disciple, quickly stand up. The Chikuan Star Lord immediately said. His gaze towards Lin Yuan grew increasingly satisfied. Lin Yuan had truly outdone himself. During this period, he had won so much face for him that, although those old geezers didn't say much, their envious tones plainly showed they wished they could snatch Lin Yuan away to be their own disciple. How are you feeling? Are you acclimating well? The Chikuan Star Lord asked with concern. It was Lin Yuan's first time on Chikuan Main Star, and he might be somewhat unaccustomed to it. Not bad. Lin Yuan nodded. That's good then, the Chikuan Star Lord said, a smile appearing on his face. If you have any issues, tell your teacher directly. The Chikuan Star Lord said. Then, after talking with the Qikuan Star Lord for a while, Lin Yuan got up and left. On the 13 peaks, Lin Yuan gathered with his 12 senior martial brothers. Congratulations, junior brother. Finally getting to see you in person, junior brother, the 12 senior martial brothers warmly greeted him. Right, junior brother, the third senior brother asked, are you planning to meet Heyu Mo or not? As soon as he said this, the rest of the senior martial brothers instantly quieted down and turned their gazes to Lin Yuan. Heyu Mo? After thinking for a moment, Lin Yuan said, better not to meet. There's nothing worth discussing. Lin Yuan had no intention of meeting Heyu Mo at all. Understood, the third senior brother nodded immediately upon hearing this. If Lin Yuan were willing to meet with Heyu Mo, it would imply there was room for easing tensions between the two. It was simply a matter of how much Heyu Mo would have to pay as a price. But the refusal to meet made Lin Yuan's intentions crystal clear. It's time to investigate the Heyu family, the second senior brother hinted. Leave it to me, the Heyu family will halt all commercial activities, all members are forbidden from leaving their resident planets, and accept the surveillance of the Qikuan lineage, the third senior brother declared. This statement effectively announced the downfall of the Heyu family. The Heyu family had a profound influence within the Qikuan star domain. A direct clampdown wouldn't look good. However, by employing surveillance to force a cessation of all activities, it was akin to death by 1,000 cuts. Their decline was a matter of time. For the Qikuan lineage, the Heyu family was nothing more than a dog kept outside. If the dog failed to obey, it could be easily replaced. Now that the dog had dared to bite its master, it could no longer be kept. Thank you, my fellow senior brothers, Lin Yuan said earnestly. What's there to thank for? We are brothers. In the future, we must support each other, they responded. Yes, this is trivial, the 12 senior martial brothers said with a chuckle. Half a day later, Lin Yuan returned to the palace where he had been in seclusion. Everything is pretty much taken care of. I can proceed with the traversal. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts, his consciousness sinking into his mind, arriving in front of the grand and magnificent door to the myriad realms. Let's first have a look at some information on this traversal. Lin Yuan allowed a sliver of consciousness to merge into the door to the myriad realms. In a daze, Lin Yuan found himself before a colossal, boundless world. This world. In a flash of astonishment, Lin Yuan saw an immortal mountain shrouded in immortal qi, a wasteland enveloped in ghostly energy, and a massive nest deep in demonic power. This world. Outside the door to the myriad realms, Lin Yuan's expression was grave. Through the slight touch of his consciousness, he knew that this traversal would grant him a stay of 500 years in the other world, with the passage of time in the main world amounting to roughly 3 to 4 months. Let us begin. Lin Yuan's consciousness returned, and after some minor preparations, he announced he was entering seclusion. Finally, he once again faced the door to the myriad realms. With a slight thought, the door emitted a sucking force, drawing Lin Yuan's consciousness into it. Chapter 236 Daoist Immortal Sect. Please subscribe. Name: Lin Yuan, Jun Wuji. Identity: holder of the Myriad Realms Gate, bonded talent. Against heaven's understanding, current state, consciousness descent, remaining residency time, 500 years. The clouds and mist were ethereal. Immortal qi twined around. A somewhat frail-looking youth lay on a recliner, with 2 maidservants gently massaging him by his side. I didn't expect this consciousness descent to be with such an identity. The frail youth, who was Lin Yuan, discreetly took in his surroundings. The maidens who were massaging him appeared to be soft and weak, but Lin Yuan could vaguely feel a subtle spiritual pressure emanating from them. Golden Core Realm female cultivators. Lin Yuan closed his eyes and rubbed his brow. Through the memories of the original body, Lin Yuan understood that this time he had traveled to a world of immortal Tao. To say it was a world of immortal Tao wasn't quite accurate. It was more like a large world dominated by the immortal path. My father, he is the disciple with the highest talent in this generation of the Daoist Immortal Sect, having mutated heavenly spiritual root aptitude and is being nurtured as the next immortal sect leader. My mother is the daughter of the Immortal sect leader of the Daoist Immortal sect, a beloved gem adored like the moon by all the stars. My maternal grandfather is the 30th generation sect leader of the Daoist Immortal sect, an ancient saint of the refinement void who suppresses the entire divine continent, and whose strength ranks among the top 3 in the Immortal sect's history. My elder brother also has heavenly spiritual root aptitude and is expected to reach the divinity transformation stage in the future. My second sister has mutated Earth's spiritual root. With the support of the sect's resources, there is also a great possibility for her to enter the divinity transformation stage. As for me, am I just a waste without any spirit root aptitude? Lin Yuan thought to himself. In this world, spirit roots are crucial. They act as the bridge that communicates between the heavens and the earth. Spirit roots are categorized as heavenly spiritual root, earth spiritual root, dual spiritual roots, triple spiritual roots, quadruple spiritual roots, and quintuple spiritual roots. The quintuple spiritual roots are also known as waste spiritual roots. With Lin Yuan's background, even if he had such a waste spiritual root as the quintuple spiritual roots, he would still be able to become a foundation establishment practitioner, or even a golden core cultivator, with the support of bountiful resources. But he had no spirit root aptitude at all. Without a spirit root, one cannot absorb spiritual energy from nature. Even if one forcibly entered the qi refining and foundation building stages with the aid of resources, they would rapidly lose their cultivation and eventually fall back to being immortal. It was like a bamboo basket, no matter how much water it held. It was of no use, it would all leak out swiftly. Efforts were in vain, like drawing water with a bamboo basket. Nature's spiritual energy? Lin Yuan carefully felt it for a moment. He discovered that this world was filled with strands and wisps of clear and pure energy. Although far from comparable to the scarlet spirit liquid of the red Kuan lineage in the main world, it was abundant and ubiquitous. What a pity, Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Without a spirit root, you can't even touch nature's spiritual energy. Lin Yuan couldn't even feel it. The only reason he could sense the spiritual energy was due to his powerful perception brought about by the descent of his consciousness. Young master, are you all right? As Lin Yuan pondered, the 2 maidservants by his side asked with concern. I'm fine. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Although he was a talentless waste, his status as the 3rd-generation descendant of immortals was still there. Even the maidservants who served him were in the golden core stage. One must know, in the outside world, golden core cultivators are considered significant figures and female golden core cultivators are highly sought after. Yet at the moment, the high and mighty female golden core cultivators were merely maidservants for Lin Yuan. If Lin Yuan wished, they were ready to warm his bed at any time. You may leave for now. Lin Yuan waved his hand. Yes. The 2 maidservants nodded and respectfully withdrew. Lin Yuan watched the 2 women leave. These 2 golden core stage maidservants were arranged by Lin Yuan's mother, not only to serve Lin Yuan but also as a protective measure. This world. A look of contemplation crossed Lin Yuan's face. This world, boundless and vast, with the Daoist Immortal sect occupying the resource-rich central divine continent, boasted the strongest power, producing an ancient saint of refinement void generation after generation. Beyond the central divine continent, to the west were the lands inhabited by barbaric demon beasts. These transformative great demons coveted the divine continent and time after time were suppressed by the Daoist Immortal sect. To the south of the central divine continent was the territory of the ghost cultivators of the netherworld. Its eerie and ghostly mist made it unsuitable for regular cultivators to stay for extended periods. To the north of the central divine continent were the devil cultivators, the strongest among them known as the blood demon, who cultivated the sea of blood demonic scripture with a claim that until the sea of blood dries up, they cannot die. Daoist Immortal sect, barbaric demon beasts, ghost cultivators of the netherworld, devil cultivators to the north, these are the 4 main powers, and to the east are the overseas islands, where it is said that some followers of the left paths have taken root, but they haven't formed a significant presence. Without a doubt, among the many powers, the Daoist Immortal sect is unquestionably the strongest, With the power of one sect, it monopolizes the most resource-rich central divine continent, driving the other three major powers to the margins. Lin Yuan silently thought. Through his memories, Lin Yuan knew that though the Daoist Immortal sect claimed morality, their actions were exceedingly domineering. The central divine continent originally had other major immortal sects besides the Daoist Immortal sect, but in the end, all were eradicated by the Daoist Immortal sect. Eventually, the entire central divine continent was enjoyed solely by the Daoist Immortal sect. No matter what world it is, strength determines everything. Lin Yuan thought to himself. The human civilization alliance in the main world is constantly expanding, engaging in battles with different species, seizing many star systems. Their actions were not unlike the Daoist Immortal sects. With 500 years of residency time, I can take it slow. Lin Yuan glanced at the remaining residency time and breathed a sigh of relief. This place isn't the Daoist Immortal sect? Lin Yuan rose to his feet. Where he was now was a paradise away from the mortal world, abundant in spiritual energy, but compared with the magnificent presence of the Daoist Immortal mountain from his memory, it naturally fell short. Chapter 237 Daoist Immortal Sect. Please subscribe, _2. So he couldn't withstand the blow and actively asked his parents to send him away from Mount Morality Immortal. Lin Yuan immediately found the reason from his memories. The original body couldn't practice cultivation, yet with a prominent ancestral background, none of the true disciples or sequence disciples of the Daoist Immortal sect dared to bully him. However, living within the Daoist Immortal sect and facing those disciples flying back and forth every day, he couldn't help but feel depressed. In front of him, disciples of the Immortal sect who bowed and scraped held strengths and means that far exceeded his own. Under such extreme contrasts over a long time, Jun Wuji simply had his parents send him away. The reason Mount Morality Immortal was called Immortal Mountain was because its spiritual energy was so abundant it nearly took physical form. Practicing cultivation there had immeasurable benefits for any cultivator. But Jun Wuji didn't need any spiritual energy. Without a spirit root, no amount of spiritual energy was of use. Therefore, Mount Morality Immortal wasn't as important to Jun Wuji as one might imagine. This is good too. Lin Yuan nodded slightly, quite satisfied. If he were still at Mount Morality Immortal, under the watchful eyes of an ancient saint of refinement void, Lin Yuan would have to be very cautious at first. The ancient saint of refinement void was one of the strongest existences in this realm, capable of plucking stars and seizing the moon with the flick of a wrist. In the hierarchy of the main world, he was equivalent to a 6th-rank evolver. Moreover, the founding artifact of the Immortal sect wielded destructive powers capable of annihilating heavens and earth. An ancient saint of refinement void in possession of the sect's founding artifact was an invincible existence. This was why the Daoist Immortal sect could occupy the central divine continent, so long as there was no break in the lineage of ancient saints. It was the most formidable force of the current era, without equal. This must be cloud mist blessed land, right? Lin Yuan observed carefully. Although the original body couldn't cultivate, he still had some understanding of the common knowledge in the cultivation world. In the central divine continent, there are 72 caves and 108 blessed lands. They are second only to Mount Morality Immortal, the top-tier cultivation sites. Among them, Cloud Mist Blessed Land is one of the 108 blessed lands, its nature's spiritual energy so rich that it can sustain the daily practice and breakthroughs of nascent soul cultivators. Unwilling to stay at Mount Morality Immortal any longer, Jun Wuji's parents cleared out one of the 108 blessed lands, Cloud Mist Blessed Land, for him to live in, evidently doting greatly on their son. Cloud Mist Blessed Land was close to Mount Morality Immortal, so in case something happened, the cultivators of the Immortal sect could quickly come to aid. Family love. Jun Wuji had a good relationship with his parents, his elder brother, and younger sister. Even the grandfather of the Immortal sect leader had seen him more than once. If Jun Wuji had spirit root talent, by all accounts, his future should be boundless. Alas, there are no ifs. In the central divine continent, there are countless treasures and rare materials. But to compensate for a lack of spirit root, or to even create a new one, those are few and far between, each exceedingly rare and significant. Outside cloud mist blessed land. Two cultivators, a man and a woman shrouded in mist, stood silently overlooking the blessed land below. Wuji, the female cultivator, looking downhearted, gazed at Jun Wuji inside the blessed land and murmured to herself, "Lianer, don't be sad. Wuji doesn't have a spirit root, and there's nothing we can do about it." The male cultivator beside her whispered gently, "Normally, spirit roots are passed down through bloodlines. If the parents possess spirit roots, the likelihood of the next generation having them is greatly increased. But nothing is absolute. There are still cases where parents with high-quality spirit roots give birth to offspring with only third- or fourth-class roots. However, cases like Jun Wuji's, where both parents are of the heavenly spiritual root, yet the son is born without any spirit root talent, are rare. Just like Jun Wuji's elder brother and younger sister, one with heavenly spiritual root and the other with a mutated earth spirit root, that's more common. I will ask Father to take out 9 heavens glazed water for Wuji to consume," the female cultivator said. 9 heavens glazed water, a treasure of the central divine continent, is said to possess the effect of rebirthing spirit roots, even in Immortal. Of course, no mortal has ever consumed 9 heavens glazed water. Who would let mortals consume something so precious when even the ancient saints would act decisively for it? Lianer, don't ever mention this in front of the sect master. 9 heavens glazed water is the main ingredient for crafting the ancient void elixir. And the ancient void elixir is crucial for the breakthrough from divinity transformation to the refining void ancient saint layer. Our Daoist Immortal sect absolutely cannot have a break in the lineage of ancient saints. The male cultivator beside her said solemnly. He too wanted to help his son. But the 9 heavens glazed water concerned the heritage of the Immortal sect. How could they treat it lightly? Even if it were Jun Wuji, let alone him, without reaching the peak of divinity transformation, he couldn't utilize the 9 heavens glazed water. The Daoist Immortal sect could only collect a thread of 9 heavens glazed water every 10,000 years, just enough to craft an ancient void elixir. The female cultivator fell silent. She understood this too. But seeing her own son so despondent, it was hard for her heart not to ache. "If he cannot grow into a towering tree, what we can do," the male cultivator sighed lightly, "is to let him live out his life peacefully and quietly." Cloud mist blessed land. Lin Yuan glanced in a certain direction. Finally gone, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Ever since his consciousness had descended, he had faintly sensed some kind of spying sensation. This sense of being watched carried no malice or intent to kill. It was probably his parents who had just brought him here. What am I now, exactly? Seizure? Or reincarnation? Lin Yuan picked up the jade teacup beside him and gently took a sip. The tea, turning into streams of spiritual energy as it entered his throat, nourished Lin Yuan's physical body. As expected of the 3rd generation of immortals, such immortal tea, if placed outside, would probably cause a group of golden core stage cultivators to fight over it, right? Lin Yuan took a few more sips. It shouldn't be considered seizure, Lin Yuan concluded in his mind. The essence of seizure was the soul of the seizer taking over the physical body of the seized. But now Jun Wuji's physical soul remained unchanged. It was just the consciousness that had been replaced by Lin Yuan. Besides, seizure was not unheard of in this world. If Lin Yuan had seized Jun Wuji, the parents who had already stepped into the nascent soul stage would have noticed. Even just the 2 golden core stage maidservants attending him would have been able to sense it. Perhaps my consciousness was cast into this world long ago, and I only awaken my memories now after encountering the confusion within the womb? Lin Yuan pondered. This could also explain why every time he transitioned, the time he regained consciousness differed. Forget it. These things are not important, Lin Yuan shook his head. Whether it was reincarnation or consciousness descent. After all, he is now Jun Wuji. The cultivation system of this world primarily revolves around the immortal path, with other paths such as those of demonic beasts, the ghost path, and the demonic Tao. They are all essentially similar, Although Jun Wuji lacked a spirit root, he had tried many cultivation methods, covering a broad range, and that's why Lin Yuan was now clear about it. While thinking, Lin Yuan made his way to the deepest part of the cloud mist-blessed land. This place was the core of the entire blessed land and also the location with the most abundant spiritual energy. Staying in such an environment for a long time, even an ordinary person would benefit with longevity. I'm going to rest, no need to pay attention to me, Lin Yuan suddenly spoke. Yes, two female voices responded from outside, belonging to Lin Yuan's two golden core stage maidservants. Chunhua, Chuyue. As Lin Yuan's maidservants and bodyguards, Chunhua and Chuyue were always focusing their divine sense on Lin Yuan to prevent any accidents. The comment Lin Yuan just made was to have Chunhua and Chuyue withdraw their divine sense. This was also a habit of the original Jun Wuji. Although he was an ordinary person, he did not like being shrouded in divine sense, even though he couldn't feel the shroud of divine sense at all. Sensing that Chunhua and Qiyu's divine sense had left, Lin Yuan's thoughts stirred, and he took out several array discs. He then inserted spirit stones and activated them directly. Suddenly, a hazy, illusory barrier enveloped the surroundings. This array disc could block the probing of cultivator's divine sense. Even when facing a nascent soul or divinity transformation stage cultivator, it wouldn't block them but would give an early warning instead. Of course, Lin Yuan was not relying solely on these external items. Array discs or any other methods were all things Lin Yuan placed out in the open for others to see. His true reliance lay in his senses as a 6th rank evolver. The perception of a 6th rank evolver was equivalent to the refining void ancient saint layer, so even the sect master of the Daoist Immortal sect probing Lin Yuan with divine sense in secret would be immediately detected. That should do it. Having done all this, Lin Yuan let out a slight breath of relief. Next, what he needed to do was to cultivate and recover his full strength as much as possible. Without strength, even with an unapproachable background and no one daring to offend, Lin Yuan would feel insecure. Chapter 238 20 years later, please subscribe. This world's cultivation system, from weak to strong, is divided into Qi refinement, foundation establishment, golden core, nascent soul, divinity transformation, refine void. Lin Yuan had no spirit root and could not inhale and exhale the nature's spiritual energy. Naturally, he could not follow the immortal cultivation system. But for the martial Tao cultivation system, having a spirit root was not necessary. The martial Tao cultivation system established by Lin Yuan had a low threshold, especially for someone like him who had evolved the martial Tao to the 6th rank. It was a piece of cake. Exhale. Inhale. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. Internal energy circulated within him. A moment later, Lin Yuan opened his eyes and took out a bottle of elixirs. He poured out a pellet and swallowed it. Once the elixir entered his body, it immediately transformed into a raging flow of blood energy, continuously forming the inner qi of the early stages of martial Tao. The differences between Immortal Path and the initial stages of martial Tao lay in Immortal Path requiring the refinement of the essence of nature into one's own internal energy. The essence of nature referred to here is the nature's spiritual energy, whereas martial Tao involves refining the essence of oneself, transforming one's own internal energy. Efficiency-wise, refining the essence of nature in Immortal Path is naturally faster. After all, nature's spiritual energy is infinite and inexhaustible. Of course, its shortcomings were also very clear. That was being too dependent on nature's spiritual energy. If one were to lose access to that natural energy, or were in a place devoid of it, it's supposed that the immortal cultivation system would be cut off. While the early stages of the martial Tao cultivation system focus on refining one's own essence, no matter in what world, as long as one still possesses vitality, one can cultivate the martial Tao. Moreover, cultivating to deeper levels in martial Tao also enables one to forcibly inhale and exhale the spiritual energy of nature. This so-called spiritual energy of nature is merely a form of energy after all. It's just that cultivators of the Immortal Path attract spiritual energy with the spirit root within them, whereas martial Tao cultivators forcibly devour it. Half a day later, after consuming dozens of elixirs that enhance vitality, Lin Yuan stepped into the second layer. The second layer of martial Tao is equivalent to the foundation establishment stage of the immortal path. It's about time. Lin Yuan restrained his vitality and concealed the aura of the second layer of martial Tao. In this world, which is a great world of immortal path, if he were to suddenly display previously unseen talents or techniques, even without signs of seizure, it would attract the attention of others, especially with such a profound background. With an external grandfather at the level of an ancient saint of refining void, it's better to be cautious and careful about his actions. Lin Yuan didn't want his abnormal performance to lead his parents to take him to his grandfather for inspection, which might end up with him being kept by this ancient saint. I need to create a secret technique that blocks the detection of divine sense. Lin Yuan fell into contemplation. In the world of immortal Tao, detection techniques are primarily based on divine sense. As long as the detection of divine sense can be obstructed, it essentially means that outsiders would have a hard time actively realizing Lin Yuan's true power. Divine sense, Lin Yuan pondered repeatedly. Divine sense is a certain application of the soul's power. To block the perception of divine sense, one must similarly use the soul's power to prevent it. With Lin Yuan's exceptional talent and having multiple evolution paths from the main world, including those involving the soul, he only took a few days to create a secret technique targeted at the probing of divine sense. This technique, utilizing one's own soul's power, forms a special barrier that instantly assimilates when the divine sense of other cultivators comes probing, thereby achieving the effect of shielding. Not bad, not bad. Lin Yuan nodded slightly. Upon activating this secret technique, in combination with his own realm, unless an ancient saint of refining void came personally and repeatedly inspected Lin Yuan directly, the abnormality could not be discovered. If Lin Yuan could recover to the 4th or 5th rank, even an ancient saint wouldn't be able to discover anything problematic as long as he meticulously checked multiple layers inward and outward. 2 months later, Lin Yuan was in the middle of secluded cultivation. Suddenly, at this moment, the maid Chunhua hurriedly came outside. "Young master, your older brother and second sister have come to see you." "I understand." Lin Yuan stopped his cultivation and went out. The older brother and second sister mentioned by Chunhua were naturally Lin Yuan's older brother and second sister. The three had a good relationship, with the older brother and second sister taking great care of Lin Yuan. Previously, when Lin Yuan was living in Mount Morality Immortal, one of the reasons no one dared to provoke him was not only because of the background of his parents and grandfather, but also because all disciples of Immortal sect who provoked Lin Yuan were somehow beaten up several times by the older brother and second sister. Over time, when disciples of Immortal sect saw Lin Yuan, they couldn't help but tremble, fearing they might be beaten if they made a mistake. After all, if other disciples beat you, you could still reason with them, at worst go to the enforcement hall of the Immortal sect. But if Lin Yuan's older brother and second sister beat you, then you could only swallow your grievances. After all, their background was clear. Would the cultivators of the Immortal sect's enforcement hall dare to truly punish the grandchildren of the ancient saint who were at the sect leader level? Even if the Immortal sect leader emphasized many times that the cultivators of the enforcement hall must act impartially and must not engage in any favoritism, but who would dare to truly be impartial? Little brother. Little brother. Lin Yuan had not yet reached the front hall, when he heard the voices of his older brother and second sister calling him. Older brother, second sister, Lin Yuan greeted. "Ha, little brother, you look well. Tell me, who dared to show off in your presence? I'll make him suffer for a year." "A year isn't enough, at least 3 years, said the older brother and second sister with a smile. "Haha, it's okay, no need for such trouble," Lin Yuan waved his hand. Wu Ji, by nature, is not a bad person and doesn't dwell on things. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let his parents send him away willingly. Lin Yuan looked at his older brother and second sister in front of him. The older brother was a tall and burly man with a very approachable smile. It was said that the older brother had metal attribute heavenly spirit root talent and followed the path of a sword cultivator. He was powerful enough to rank among the top 3 of the nascent soul layer in Mount Morality Immortal. Chapter 239 20 years later, please subscribe, _2. Every time the barbaric demon beasts from the west caused an uproar, it was always my eldest brother who led the suppression, his hands stained with the blood of countless demon kings. As for my second sister, she possesses a mutated thunder attribute earth spirit root. She appears gentle and reserved, but that is only in front of family members. Outside, my second sister bears the title of the Xianxia fairy. If little brother says he won't pursue the matter, then it won't be pursued. Those people got off easy. My second-tier eldest brother said with a chuckle. They could tell that Lin Yuan's mood seemed to be pretty good now. Little brother, let me tell you, this cloud mist blessed land is also known as a prolonging life blessed land. Among the 108 blessed lands of the central divine continent, each blessed land has its unique effect, and the cloud mist blessed land's effect is prolonging life. By staying here long-term and occasionally consuming prolonging life elixirs, even without cultivating, living for hundreds or even 1,000 years is a very likely possibility. My eldest brother said. My second sister nodded in agreement. When our parents cleared the cloud mist blessed land for you to live in, there were quite a few elders in the sect who questioned it. But in the end, Father stood his ground against the opposition and secured this cloud mist blessed land. My second sister said, I've caused trouble for our parents. Lin Yuan heaved a sigh. One could imagine the emotions of those elders in the Immortal sect when they heard that one of the distinguished 108 blessed lands, the cloud mist blessed land, was going to be inhabited by a waste with no spirit root. But there was nothing they could do. Lin Yuan might lack a spirit root, but he has a powerful background. Even if others doubted, that was all they could do. They were powerless to make any substantial decisions. This is the privilege of a third generation from a family of immortals. These days, Lin Yuan's spirit was lifted with pleasure. After experiencing the 4th transmigration, the initial 20 years were spent suppressing the darkness of the Great Abyss. This transmigration started at the peak, perfect in every way except for the inability to cultivate. Even the sole drawback of being unable to cultivate was only in the eyes of others. In reality, Lin Yuan could still cultivate and even make rapid progress. By the way, little brother, now that you're living here, do you have any needs? Just tell your big brother. After chatting idly for a while, my eldest brother asked, Needs? Lin Yuan thought for a moment. I want to give cultivation another try. I need some immortal path skills, as well as skills related to body cultivation. Lin Yuan said. The reason for such a request was because Lin Yuan wanted to comprehend this world's cultivation system. Without a spirit root, Lin Yuan couldn't embark on the path of immortal cultivation. But that didn't mean he couldn't comprehend and draw inspiration from the immortal cultivation system. Some concepts and ideas from the immortal cultivation system could still provide Lin Yuan with some inspiration. And under the Against Heaven's understanding, these inspirations could amplify insights by tens or even hundreds of times. As for the latter request for body cultivation techniques, body cultivation is a branch derived from the immortal cultivation system. It focuses solely on forging the physical body, hence there are no restrictions related to having a spirit root. However, attempting body cultivation requires enduring endless agony, and with a lifespan no different from ordinary people, the original Jun Wuji never really explored this method of cultivation. After all, with his formidable background, Jun Wuji didn't need the limited strength that came from body cultivation. Little brother. My eldest brother and second sister sighed inwardly. They understood that Jun Wuji still hadn't given up on the idea of cultivating. Since ancient times, there has never been a case of someone without a spirit root being able to embark on the path of immortal cultivation. But the once Jun Wuji had always believed that the absence of precedents didn't mean there would be none in the future. Therefore, Jun Wuji often collected various immortal path skills and secret techniques from less orthodox paths to attempt cultivation. My eldest brother, second sister, and our parents all saw this happen. Although they knew Jun Wuji's efforts were unlikely to yield results, everyone didn't have the heart to stop him. Body cultivation skills. Little brother, the path of body cultivation entails great pain. You must be prepared mentally. My eldest brother couldn't help but remind him. For ordinary people, embarking on the path of body cultivation can be justified, as it boosts strength even if it doesn't extend lifespan. But for Jun Wuji, it was rather pointless, almost like a spare rib. After all, the level of Jun Wuji's strength hardly mattered, and he would rarely have the opportunity to take action. I want to see what the principles behind body cultivation techniques are, Lin Yuan stated his reason. In fact, Lin Yuan was curious about the details of how body cultivation techniques tempered the physical body. Generally speaking, no cultivator practices solely body cultivation techniques. They are usually practiced by those who have reached the golden core or nascent soul stage, as a way to enhance their physical strength and increase their ability to protect themselves. No problem, the elder brother nodded. Procedures and steps are required to take out the magical instruments and treasures of the Daoist Immortal sect. But for cultivation techniques and secret techniques, apart from a very small number of them, the rest can be copied onto a jade slip and taken out in any quantity. The three chatted for a while longer. Then the elder brother and the second sister stood up to take their leave. Is there something the matter, elder brother? Lin Yuan keenly noticed that something was off in the elder brother's mood. According to elder brother's past habits, a visit to Lin Yuan would last at least half a day. It's nothing serious. It's just that those barbaric demon beasts in the West have been restless lately. I need to make a trip and kill a few dozen demon kings to deter them, the elder brother said nonchalantly, shaking his head. In the elder brother's mouth, demon kings, which correspond to cultivators in the nascent soul stage, seemed no different from livestock waiting to be slaughtered. Still, be careful. I've heard that there's been a new demon saint presence in the demon saint's nest. The second sister glanced at the elder brother and reminded him. The demon saint's nest, a sacred land for the barbaric demonic beasts, is said to be related to a certain demon saint. And a demon saint corresponds to the level of an ancient saint of refined void. Don't worry, if there really is a demon saint's aura, it'll definitely run, the elder brother replied with a nod. Demon saint's nest, Lin Yuan fell into thought. The Daoist Immortal sect, possessing the rich resources of the central divine continent, seemed glorious from the outside, but the demonic beasts to the west, the ghost cultivators to the south, and the blood demons to the north, all had their eyes on the Daoist Immortal sect. It was just that the Daoist Immortal sect was so powerful that it suppressed any disobedience, and things had been peaceful for years. Ha ha, second sister, I've told you not to talk about these things in front of junior brother. The elder brother laughed heartily as he saw Lin Yuan's expression. Don't worry. The life-saving methods bestowed by the sect master will keep me safe, even if I do encounter a demon saint, the elder brother continued before turning to leave. Junior brother. If you have any problems, you must tell your sister, the second sister impressed upon Lin Yuan before she, too, departed. For a time, cloud mist-blessed land fell silent once more. Several days later, Daoist Immortal sect disciples delivered dozens of jade slips. Inside were recorded dozens of profound immortal path skills. Included at the bottom were 3 jade slips, detailing the strongest 3 body cultivation techniques collected by the Daoist Immortal sect. Body cultivation, Lin Yuan's eyes sparkled. He immediately began to browse through them. Body cultivation is renowned for forging the physical body. The martial path evolutionary path also places significant importance on tempering the physical body. The foundation of the martial arts evolution system is rooted in the physical Buddhist qi and blood. Upon this foundation, it nurtures the spirit and evolves the primordial spirit. This realm's body cultivation lineage has the potential to continuously unearth the physical Buddhist potential, purely increasing the strength of the physical body. Once the physical body reaches its limit, there's a certain chance that a physical body divine ability will be born? Lin Yuan pondered thoughtfully. A so-called physical body divine ability is an ability inscribed deep within the flesh and blood of the body. This ability, theoretically, should have no chance of manifesting due to its extreme subtlety, yet body cultivation techniques might indeed reawaken such ability. Of course, it's only a possibility. The emergence of a physical body divine ability, even for the lineage of body cultivation, is considered a legendary feat. Most cultivators who pursue body cultivation to its limits are unable to manifest a physical body divine ability. Physical body divine ability. Lin Yuan's eyes shone with vigor. With the methods of Against Heaven's understanding, he could completely refine and perfect the body cultivation techniques, greatly increasing the chance of giving birth to physical body divine abilities. From that day on, Lin Yuan secluded himself in the cloud mist-blessed land, quietly recovering his strength while also comprehending the essence of this world's cultivation system. Time silently slipped by. In the blink of an eye, 20 years had passed. Chapter 240 Century Plan, Subscription Requested. Cloud Mist-Blessed Land. Misty Immortal Qi. Atop the mountain loft, Lin Yuan lay on a recliner, leisurely ingesting the innate purple qi that appeared only in the early morning. Innate purple qi is a kind of nature's spiritual energy that can dispel hidden injuries, nourish the physical body, and greatly assist those following the body cultivation path. Compared to 20 years ago, Lin Yuan looked much healthier, and his body had grown considerably stronger. Young master, here is the misty cloud immortal tea that has been prepared. Chunhua and Chuyue, two golden core realm female cultivators, approached respectfully. After placing the misty cloud immortal tea in front of Lin Yuan, the two women came to his side and began massaging him with their slender hands. Young master, the practice of body cultivation is too taxing. Do you need to rest? Chuyue whispered. No need. Both of you may leave now. Lin Yuan, without lifting his eyelids, spoke casually. As you wish. Qiu's expression was somewhat disappointed as she respectfully bowed and then left the mountain loft. On the mountain path, Chunhua and Chuyue spoke softly. The young master is so determined to cultivate the body cultivation to the golden core stage. How much pain must he endure? Chunhua said in an astonished tone. The path of body cultivation does not rely on the spirit root. But during cultivation, one needs to endure endless pain. And the consumption of resources is also much higher than other cultivators of the same stage. Being a well-known third-generation disciple of the Daoist Immortal sect, Lin Yuan certainly wouldn't lack resources. Yet, given his upbringing in luxury, the fact that he could endure the pain of body cultivation was surprising to many. A golden core stage body cultivator, with robust blood and qi, a strong physique, and an unparalleled physical body, many female cultivators outside desire to have a Dao companion proficient in body cultivation. Chuyue couldn't help but say in a low voice. Stop fantasizing. Chunhua glanced at Chu. Who is the young master? Even without a spirit root, he's not someone you should be thinking about. Sister Chunhua, I only revere the young master. I definitely don't mean it that way, Chuyue quickly explained. Whatever it means, just be clear about it in your heart. Chunhua shook her head. Though they were sent to serve Jun Wuji with the readiness to offer themselves, that would only be possible if Jun Wuji was willing. As for forcing it, Chunhua and Chuyue certainly wouldn't dare. But the young master has cultivated the body cultivation technique to the golden core stage, which is about as far as it goes. The remaining transformation to nascent soul stage body cultivation hasn't been seen much in Central Divine Continent. Chuyue spoke softly. The path of body cultivation, though unmatched in combat power, is not cost-effective, requiring a tremendous amount of resources and not extending one's life. The most crucial point is that the breakthrough from golden core stage to nascent soul stage requires enduring extreme pain, which no cultivator has been able to withstand. You never know. After all, who would have thought the young master would achieve such success in the path of body cultivation? Maybe in the future, the young master will step into the nascent soul stage body cultivation. Chunhua spoke up. A nascent soul stage body cultivator, even within the Daoist Immortal sect, is not considered weak, and across the lands of Central Divine Continent, that would make one a free and unpredictable elder. Body cultivation has been cultivated up to the divinity transformation stage, and still no physical body divine ability was born? Back in the mountain loft, After Lin Yuan had finished ingesting the innate purple qi, he shook his head slightly and thought. The body cultivation technique I am practicing is based on the 73 top-notch body cultivation techniques, blended and comprehended. Could it be that the so-called physical body divine ability is really just a legend? Lin Yuan frowned. But even without birthing physical body divine ability, body cultivation has brought me a lot of benefits. In terms of combat power, a body cultivator at the divinity transformation stage can almost sweep through others of the same stage, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Over the years, Lin Yuan had intentionally displayed his talents in the path of body cultivation, and more recently, he openly demonstrated the strength of a golden core stage body cultivator. This was to ask his older brothers and sisters, as well as his parents, for more cultivation resources. If Lin Yuan were an ordinary person, a sudden vast need for cultivation resources would likely attract attention from others. But if Lin Yuan was immersed in the path of body cultivation, it's well known that the practice of body cultivation consumes a far greater amount of resources compared to other cultivators of the same stage. Moreover, with his status as a third-generation immortal disciple, for a boundary breakthrough that only needed a single portion of resources, for safety, 10 or 100 portions would be required to prevent accidents. And occasionally he'd be sent out to beg for resources. Now, besides reaching the divinity transformation stage in body cultivation, Lin Yuan's status in martial Tao had also restored to the 5th rank peak. He was beginning a transformation to harmonize with the soul, and stepping into the 6th rank, returning to the peak, was just a matter of the near future. Lin Yuan chose to publicly display his body cultivation talent. Aside from securing resources, it was more importantly to cover up his own martial Tao aura. Martial Tao. Unlike the immortal path, both belong to completely different cultivation systems. Like the demon Tao in the west, the demonic Tao in the north, and the ghost path in the south. As for the Daoist immortal sect, whether it's martial Tao, demonic Tao, or ghost path, all are considered heretical paths. Once detected, they can be directly suppressed. This is a conflict of the great Tao, not about right or wrong, not about good or bad. Take Jun Wuji for example, unable to cultivate as an immortal due to lacking a spirit root, but he could pursue the ghost path or practice demonic Tao. Either could circumvent the issue of lacking a spirit root. But from beginning to end, whether it was Jun Wuji's maternal grandfather or his parents, they would rather consider using 9 heavens glazed water than ever think about letting Jun Wuji switch to practice the ghost path. The Daoist immortal sect has dominated Central Divine Continent for tens of thousands of years. If it were known that one of their own disciples practiced the path of the ghost or demonic Tao, it's likely that their ancestors would be so infuriated they'd come back to life. Moreover, Jun Wuji himself never considered switching to practice the ways of the ghost or demonic Tao. Disciples of the Daoist immortal sect are proud, always looking down on the paths of ghost, demon, and others, and even without a spirit root, Jun Wuji disdains walking a path other than that of the immortals. Chapter 241 Century Plan, Subscription Requested, _2. This is a conflict of the great Tao. Lin Yuan's expression was slightly solemn. In this world, the immortal path reigns supreme, with cultivators as the mainstay. As for other paths like the demon Tao, demonic Tao, and ghost path, they are all scattered. If any dare to rebel, they are directly suppressed. It has been so for hundreds of thousands of years. If Lin Yuan's martial Tao strength were to be discovered, there would only be one possibility. He would be executed. Of course, given Lin Yuan's background, he might survive, but his martial Tao cultivation would be crippled. He would be kept like livestock until his death. Want to make martial Tao coexist with the immortal path? It's possible, but it's not something that can be achieved through words alone, or by relying on the charity of relationships. It requires absolute strength. If one day martial Tao can barely resist the immortal path, and at the very least, under the suppression of the Daoist immortal sect, it doesn't lose its lineage, then it might survive like the demon Tao, ghost path, or demonic Tao, hanging on by a thread. If it can contend with the Daoist immortal sect and not be at a disadvantage, then it will be possible to share the resource-rich Central Divine Continent with them. but the latter is difficult. For hundreds of thousands of years, demon Tao, demonic Tao, and ghost path have joined forces more than once, yet they have all been crushed by the Daoist immortal sect with absolute power. I want to spread the martial path evolutionary path. I will inevitably have to face the Daoist immortal sect. Lin Yuan thought to himself. For the martial path evolutionary path to gain a foothold in this world, the Daoist immortal sect is an insurmountable obstacle. The sect master of the Daoist immortal sect is an ancient saint of refined void, wielding the founding artifact of the sect, capable of exhibiting 6th rank peak, even half-step 7th rank combat power. Such terrifying strength is also quite pressuring for Lin Yuan. Take it slow. There are still 480 years of residency time. As long as I can cultivate to the 6th rank peak, I will be able to contend with the strongest combat power of the Daoist immortal sect. Lin Yuan thought to himself. As for breaking through to the 7th rank, Lin Yuan wasn't confident. 500 years was not a simple feat to develop the martial path evolutionary path to the 7th layer. It wasn't just about cultivating to the 7th rank, but about developing the evolution pathway to the 7th rank. The difference in difficulty between the two, no one knows how many times greater it is. Even for Lin Yuan with his against heaven's understanding, there wasn't much certainty. In the main world, didn't those 7th rank evolution pathways take thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, or even 100,000 years to create? And the founders who created the pathways for 7th rank evolvers were mostly 8th layer evolvers, 9th rank evolvers. From their lofty positions, the difficulty would drop dramatically. Forget about the Daoist immortal sect for now. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts. He wanted to spread martial Tao in this world to prepare for the ultimate leap in the future. He must first lay the groundwork for the propagation of the martial path evolutionary path. The rise and prosperity of a cultivation system can't possibly appear overnight. If Lin Yuan waits until his strength reaches 6th rank peak, it will probably be several hundred years later. By then, even if he could contend with the strongest combat power of the Daoist immortal sect, what could he use in the remaining 1 or 200 years to spread martial Tao? 1 to 200 years might not even produce a 3rd or 4th rank martial Tao cultivator. Once Lin Yuan leaves, faced with the Daoist immortal sect's counterattack, martial Tao would likely not even have the qualifications to resist, easily crushed. Therefore, if you want to spread martial Tao, you must plan in advance and develop it over 400 or 500 years. In this way, even without Lin Yuan, martial Tao could still survive. As for how long it could last, it would be beyond Lin Yuan's influence. Lin Yuan could only do everything possible within the 500 years of residency in this world. The world consciousness of these heavens and earth, Lin Yuan felt it carefully for a while. The suppression of other cultivation systems isn't very severe, Lin Yuan deduced in his heart. The consciousnesses of different worlds can vary as well. The world consciousness of the 4th world Lin Yuan had traveled to was extremely stingy, intolerant of other cultivation systems. The world consciousness of this immortal Tao world, however, was tolerable, or else demon Tao, ghost path, and demonic Tao wouldn't have coexisted. After 20 years of lying low, now it's time to start making moves and laying out the board. Lin Yuan's gaze was calm. Plotting also depends on strength. If Lin Yuan had only recovered to the 2nd layer or 3rd rank strength, roughly the same as the foundation establishment stage or golden core stage in this world, how could he plot anything when facing a group of nascent soul and divinity transformation period powerhouses? Protecting his own life would be enough. But now Lin Yuan was at the 5th stage peak. Comparable to the peak of divinity transformation, with his numerous means, he might even manage to contend with an ancient saint of refined void. Naturally, he was qualified to plot. To spread the martial path evolutionary path, I must first establish a force, one purely comprising martial Tao cultivators. And to establish a force, I must first have a territory. Lin Yuan's mind stirred slightly. A map appeared before his eyes. In the center of the map was the central divine continent, the domain of the Daoist immortal sect. To the north were blood-red and black territories, domains of the blood demon, and also the sacred ground for devil cultivators. To the west were the regions of the barbaric demon beasts, where, it was said, the demon saints' nest protected by them could nurture demon saints comparable to ancient saints of refinement void. And to the south, where ghostly chi pervaded, belonged to the ghost cultivators of the netherworld. Rumor had it that they hailed from the mysterious ghost palace of Netherworld, which connected to the netherworld underworld. Lin Yuan's gaze moved continuously over the map. Whether it was the central divine continent or the northern, western, and southern regions, all had already been occupied by forces, and it would be very difficult for Martial Tao to expand in these three places. The east. Lin Yuan looked toward the eastern region of the map. There, poised on the edge of the East Sea, was the area of various left paths. Simply put, it was a no-man's land, teeming with cultivators of ambiguous identities. Many cultivators who had offended the Daoist Immortal sect had fled to the eastern sea islands, and as long as they did not court death, they could live freely. Starting from the East Sea is possible, Lin Yuan thought to himself. At the very least, the eastern sea islands had a complicated mix of forces. Martial Tao blending in wouldn't be too conspicuous. You go to the East Sea, spread Martial Tao, and establish a force. Lin Yuan's mind stirred slightly, and a phantom figure emerged from within his body. This phantom figure, upon touching the outside world, rapidly solidified, radiating the power of Taiyang, with bright eyes, and stood there quietly. It was Lin Yuan's radiant Yang spirit, also known as the Taiyang divine spirit. At the fifth stage of Martial Tao, a corresponding Martial Tao primordial spirit could be born. The Martial Tao primordial spirit was essentially an avatar, sharing one consciousness with the original self. And its strength wouldn't be much weaker than that of the original self. At present, Lin Yuan's Yang spirit, when unleashing its full power, should have no equal below an ancient saint of refinement void. Whoosh! The Yang spirit's form disappeared. Following Lin Yuan's orders, it headed for the distant East Sea. In fact, since Lin Yuan and the Yang spirit shared consciousness, Lin Yuan could see what the Yang spirit saw. Talking to the Yang spirit was much like talking to oneself. Lin Yuan Yang's spirit turned from solid to ethereal, easily passing through the many restrictions of cloud mist-blessed land and reaching the outside world. Looks like it's going to be a while before I can return, Lin Yuan muttered, turning to fly toward the east. At the pavilion atop Yunwu Mountain, Lin Yuan was still seated cross-legged. Sending out the Yang spirit was already part of Lin Yuan's plan. In time, Lin Yuan would also continue to dispatch the Yin God. The two great Martial Tao primordial spirits would be like Lin Yuan's two significant avatars. One body divided into three, sharing one consciousness. Furthermore, when the primordial spirit is abroad, there's another advantage. Even if Lin Yuan's original self perished, it would not be the end. From Taiyin comes Taiyang, from Taiyang comes Taiyin, from Yin and Yang comes Taiji, from Taiji comes all things. As long as the Yin spirit and Yang spirit exist, a new physical body can be reborn. Similarly, even if the Yin spirit and Yang spirit are destroyed outside, as long as the physical body remains, it can condense anew the Yin spirit and Yang spirit. The original self, the Yin God, and the Yang God. As long as one is alive, Lin Yuan cannot die. Lin Yuan dispatched his Yang God and Yin God also to augment his own survival capabilities. Half a month later, I'm almost back to the power of the sixth rank, Lin Yuan sensed for a while and thought. Body cultivation. Lin Yuan's face showed contemplation. For the lineage of body cultivation, breaking through to the virtual refinement realm was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. It was almost impossible to achieve. In the tens of thousands of years of Central Divine Continent's history, not a single body cultivator had emerged at the level of refined void. As Lin Yuan pondered over the virtual refinement realm of the lineage of body cultivation and tried to deduce it using against heaven's understanding, his expression suddenly changed slightly. He looked up toward the outside of cloud mist-blessed land. Chapter 242 was Suns in the Sky. Revenge will not wait overnight. Please subscribe. With Lin Yuan's current strength, he could easily sense every little detail for hundreds or even thousands of miles away. This was merely perception, but if he were to recklessly expand his Taiji domain, tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of miles would be within his control. Why have they come? Lin Yuan stroked his chin. At this moment, about 200 miles away from Cloud Mist-blessed land, two escape lights appeared. They were Lin Yuan's elder brother and second sister. Over the years, his brother and sister would visit Lin Yuan every 6 months. Now, it was not even 2 months since their last visit. It must be that something has happened in the Immortal sect, Lin Yuan guessed in his heart. Before long, the two escape lights arrived outside the Cloud Mist-blessed land. Lin Yuan also promptly showed a hint of surprise and quickly opened the restrictive formation of the blessed land to welcome his brother and sister in. Lin Yuan's elder brother was named Jun Xiaoyao, with the Taoist name Xiaoyao Zi. The second sister was Jun Jilan, with the Taoist name Jilan Fairy. However, other cultivators preferred to call Jun Jilan Xianxia Fairy. Little brother, the sect master has broken through to the hollow void realm, and the Immortal sect is holding a celebration. We are here to take you there, explained the elder brother, Jun Xiaoyao, immediately. Hollow void realm? Lin Yuan instantly understood. The Immortal Path's void refinement realm is divided into 3 stages. Entering void realm. Hollow void realm. Refine void realm. The advance of the Taoist Immortal sect master into the hollow void realm meant that his strength was considered powerful even among ancient saints, as most ancient saints of the past had their cultivation end at the entering void realm. Little brother, even grandpa mentioned you specifically. There's no need to make this celebration widely known. It will be just some people from our Immortal sect participating. Jun Jilan, unlike Jun Xiaoyao, who was more formal, didn't refer to her grandpa as the sect master when with family. Okay, Lin Yuan nodded. But elder brother and second sister, I'll first go to the treasury to select a gift for grandpa, Lin Yuan explained. Even for close relatives, it wouldn't do to come empty-handed. That's fine, the elder brother and sister agreed, nodding their heads. They watched as Lin Yuan left. The brother and sister waited in place. Little brother has changed a lot over the years, the second sister, Jun Jilan, said with a touch of emotion. The path of body cultivation requires enduring tremendous pain for advancement. How could little brother remain the same after cultivating to the body cultivation golden core stage? Jun Xiaoyao, the elder brother, thought it was only to be expected. Even he would feel scalp-numbing pain facing the breakthrough to the golden core stage of body cultivation. That Jun Wuji could have achieved what he has now, his mental state was already beyond other golden core stage cultivators. As for the huge changes in Jun Wuji, Jun Xiaoyao felt no surprise. 20 years ago, after Jun Wuji was struck with defeat, he moved out from Mount Morality Immortal and came to Cloud Mist-blessed land. Shamed and then becoming braver, he embarked on the difficult path of body cultivation, and achieving some success was no strange matter. The treasury of Cloud Mist-blessed land. Lin Yuan walked in. He casually selected a treasure. To the leader of the Daoist Immortal sect, it didn't matter what gift Lin Yuan brought. The sentiment was what truly counted. Condense. Lin Yuan stood still. He retracted all traces related to martial Tao and tucked them deep within his body. Heading to the Daoist Immortal sect to meet the sect master who had entered the hollow void realm, Lin Yuan naturally had to make thorough preparations. This should be about right. Lin Yuan nodded slightly. Now, with all his aura retracted and even his physical strength temporarily downgraded to that of a body cultivation golden core stage, not even a sect master at the hollow void realm, let alone a refined void cultivator at the refined void period, could detect the slightest anomaly. The reason Lin Yuan could so proficiently retract his aura was firstly that he was also a 6th rank powerhouse, which was equivalent to the refined void period, and secondly, he had come from a main world, having seen many evolution paths, making this task of concealing his strength seem like a dimension-reducing strike when compared to creatures of this world. It's better to leave the Yin spirit behind, Lin Yuan considered for a while, his thoughts stirring slightly as a faint phantom separated from his body, then disappeared within the treasury. Although the presence of the Yin spirit was almost non-existent, keeping it with him could still pose a risk. Moreover, leaving the Yin spirit in Cloud Mist Blessed Land was also a contingency plan prepared by Lin Yuan. In case of any real emergencies, having both the Yin spirit and Yang spirit out, Lin Yuan would have more tactics at his disposal and wouldn't truly die. After all the preparations were made, Lin Yuan, carrying the gift, came to where his brother and sister were. "Let's go." The second sister, Jun Jilan, reached out her right hand. A treasure of a colorful handkerchief with cloud patterns unfolded in the air, turning into a several hundred zhang auspicious cloud. The elder brother and sister had come flying using escape light because it was the fastest method. But naturally, they couldn't return using escape light, especially with Lin Yuan beside them. While a cultivator in the body cultivation golden core stage indeed had the means to fly, they could not match the speed of the elder brother and sister, both seasoned nascent soul stage cultivators. Therefore, the second sister activated the treasure to transport the three of them towards the Daoist Immortal sect. "Come aboard." Jun Xiaoyao stepped onto the auspicious cloud treasure, and Lin Yuan followed suit. After half a day, the Daoist Immortal sect appeared within Lin Yuan's sight. There, above the sea of clouds, stood immortal mountains so tall they seemed to prop up the heavens, majestic and grand. Mount Morality Immortal. Lin Yuan gazed at the distant Immortal mountain. The Daoist Immortal sect was established atop Mount Morality Immortal, which was the place where the largest spirit veins of the central divine continent converged. It was also a sacred land that all cultivators yearned for. The central divine continent had 72 blessed lands and 108 auspicious sites for cultivation, all abundant with spiritual energy and incredible cultivation benefits. But compared to Mount Morality Immortal, even if all 72 blessed lands and 108 auspicious sites were combined. Chapter 243 was Suns in the Sky. Revenge does not wait overnight. Please subscribe. _2. It certainly pales in comparison to Mount Morality Immortal. Whoosh. The auspicious cloud treasure flew to the front of the Immortal sect. An invisible fluctuation swept through. An entrance appeared in the grand formation ahead. Dozens of Immortal sect disciples bowed in unison. "We've seen Xiaoyao Zi, Uncle Master. We've seen Ji Lan Fairy." So, they arrived at the summit of the main peak of the Daoist Immortal sect. A large hall situated here was surrounded by rich nature's spiritual energy, which even transformed into spirit rain showering down. This place was a completely different world from the outside, like a true immortal realm. Lin Yuan followed Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Jilan into the grand hall. At this time, there were already some people seated in the hall. Wuji, a female cultivator with a beautiful appearance, smiled at Lin Yuan. It was Jun Wuji's mother, the direct daughter of the current Taoist Immortal sect master, Mu Liana. And the man sitting next to Mu Liana was Jun Wuji's father, Jun Dongjin. Jun Dongjin had a mutated heavenly spiritual root. He was the most talented individual of his generation in the Daoist Immortal sect, with hopes of breaking through to the refining void period, one of the top candidates for the sect's future sect master. "Ah, so this must be Wuji. Indeed, you're quite promising. Having no spirit root, yet choosing the path of body cultivation." A tall and impressive man approached, gave Lin Yuan a glance, then turned to laugh with Jun Dongjin. This tall and powerful man just standing there exuded an intangible suppression. Mu Mengting. Lin Yuan recognized this impressive man. Mu Mengting was a distinguished offspring of the Mu family of the Daoist Immortal sect, and the current sect master came from the Mu family. His mother Mu Liana was also a member. Though Mu Mengting was also a cultivator with a heavenly spiritual root, his aptitude was indeed half a step behind Jun Dongjin's, but his identity in the Mu family still made him one of the hot candidates for the future sect master of the Immortal sect. Mu Mengting and Jun Dongjin were rivals. Of course, the position of sect master of the Daoist Immortal sect was not about background. It was about who could break through to the refining void period first. He would be the sect master. Mengting brother overpraises. Wuji is just toying around with small achievements. They mean nothing. After all, the limit of body cultivation is the golden core stage. Jun Dongjin responded with a smile. Upon hearing those words, Mu Mengting didn't say much and returned to his seat. Lin Yuan sat next to Jun Dongjin. Mu Mengting had just shown subtle malice toward him. If Jun Dongjin hadn't spoken up in time, Lin Yuan's state of mind might have been affected. This old man, Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly. 20 years ago, Lin Yuan had been no different from a cripple. Mu Mengting had not even bothered to consider him worth his attention, let alone target him. But now, Lin Yuan had achieved considerable success on the path of body cultivation. Even if this success was trivial for him, it had earned him praise from the sect master of the Immortal sect, who was his maternal grandfather. This made Mu Mengting somewhat uncomfortable. That's why that earlier scene had happened. In Mu Mengting's view, the position of sect master for the Daoist Immortal sect should belong to his Mu family. Yet, Jun Wuji, an outsider, emerged out of nowhere. Even if Jun Dongjin married Mu Liana, he was still an outsider. How dare he covet the position of sect master? Just then, inside the hall, the atmosphere began to subtly change. Lin Yuan sensed it and looked toward the main seat. He saw a middle-aged man with a dignified presence, who had appeared at some point and was now sitting there. "We've seen the sect master." The others in the hall noticed as well. They stood up immediately and bowed to the dignified middle-aged man. "Please, everyone, take your seats." The dignified middle-aged man spoke slowly. "Yes." Everyone sat down in order. "Is that the Immortal sect leader? The hollow void realm of the refining void period?" Lin Yuan secretly observed. In terms of realms, Lin Yuan, who had just entered the 6th rank, was considered to be at the entering void realm. In this respect, he was not as advanced as the Immortal sect leader. Once everyone was seated, female cultivators carrying various spirit fruits began to serve them at the tables in front of each person. Those who could participate in the Hollow Void Great Hall event of Daoist Immortal sect were principally high-level cultivators with high positions and great influence. "What's the situation with the Ghost Palace of Netherworld?" The voice of the Immortal sect leader was calm as he asked. The Daoist Immortal sect dominates the central divine continent, overpowering the demonic Tao, demon Tao, and ghost path with absolute strength. However, these three are extremely tenacious. No matter the severity of the blows they sustain, they always manage to recuperate. Therefore, to prevent these three paths from causing chaos, every so often the Daoist Immortal sect sends out disciples to sweep through and purge the area. "Sect Master. Those ghost cultivators have been so thoroughly beaten by our Immortal sect that they are now too scared to even step into the Central Earth." An old man with golden lion's mane-like curly hair stood up and proudly declared. He was responsible for clearing out the ghost cultivators to the south and had completed his mission admirably, thus he spoke with great confidence. "Not bad." The Immortal sect leader nodded slightly. "That ghost palace of Netherworld is of mysterious origin, and even I find it hard to locate. We must be cautious with the ghost cultivators on that side." The Immortal sect leader spoke. It's not that the Daoist Immortal sect didn't want to completely obliterate the ghost cultivators. It's that they simply couldn't. Every time the sect master of the Daoist Immortal sect, wielding the founding artifact of the sect, went south to purge the land, all the ghost cultivators would hide within the ghost palace of Netherworld, and even an ancient saint of refinement void could not find the thoroughly concealed ghost palace of Netherworld. Therefore, dealing with the ghost cultivators to the south could only focus on suppression and clearing, containing their power from rising, and thus, there would be no significant issues. "What about the blood demons to the north?" The Immortal sect leader continued to ask. "Sect Master, the Blood Chief's blood godchildren have already lost 60% of their number. Now they don't dare to leave the Blood Demon Sea." Another person rose to speak. "The Blood Chief has merged with the Blood Sea. While he is nearly immortal and indestructible, he cannot leave the bounds of the Blood Demon Sea." The Immortal sect leader nodded. The Blood Chief was an exceptional being. Even the past Immortal sect leaders, wielding the founding artifact of the sect, could not completely slay the Blood Chief. If the Blood Demon Sea does not dry up, the Blood Chief remains undying. "What about the Eastern Sea Islands?" The Immortal sect leader continued to inquire. Sect Master. At this moment, Mu Mengting stood up and said, "The Eastern Sea Islands are a mix of dragons and snakes, extremely resistant to external forces. However, over the years, I have painstakingly established a secret influence and gained control over the Black Gauze Archipelago. With me here, the Eastern Sea Islands can only remain in chaos." Mu Mengting said confidently. To the Daoist Immortal sect, the approach to the Eastern Sea Islands differed from that towards the Demon Tao, Ghost Path, and Demonic Tao. They didn't directly suppress them. The situation in the Eastern Sea Islands was exceedingly complex, constantly embroiled in internal strife. The Daoist Immortal sect only needed to ensure that no unified force emerged from the Eastern Sea Islands. Then they could rest easy without worries. Thus, Mu Mengting secretly established his own power, ready to intervene whenever there were signs of the islands unifying. This side, the force Mu Mengting secretly amassed numerous cultivation resources for, was of paramount significance and served as his left and right arms. Not bad. The Immortal sect leader nodded once more. The Black Gauze Archipelago? Lin Yuan, sitting next to Jun Dongjin, felt a slight stir in his heart. Considering his plans to spread the martial path evolutionary path starting from the Eastern Sea Islands, Lin Yuan naturally conducted thorough research on the islands. And he was fairly clear about the location of the Black Gauze Archipelago. The East Sea. Lin Yuanyang's spirit suddenly came to a halt. The cloud mist-blessed land was extremely far from the East Sea. But the Yang spirit wasn't physical, and its flying speed was feared to be unmatched even by an ancient saint of refinement void. After half a month of rapid travel, Lin Yuanyang's spirit eventually arrived within the perimeter of the East Sea. In reality, the Daoist Immortal sect had a dedicated teleportation formation that could instantly reach the proximity of the East Sea. However, Lin Yuanyang's spirit decided to take a tour along the way. After all, spreading the martial path evolutionary path was a 100-year plan, so there was no rush. The Black Gauze Archipelago? The Lin Yuanyang spirit and the original body shared the same consciousness. Their memories were identical, with instantaneous exchange of all knowledge and sensations. Therefore, when Lin Yuan heard about Mu Mengting establishing a power base in the Black Gauze Archipelago of the East Sea, the Yang spirit was instantly informed. That should be the Black Gauze Archipelago over there. Lin Yuanyang's spirit changed course and headed towards the Black Gauze Archipelago. A moment later, the Black Gauze Archipelago appeared before him. 12 divinity transformation, 56 nascent souls. Lin Yuanyang's spirit clicked his tongue, then raised his right hand. In that instant, even the high-hanging sun in the sky seemed to dim. Endless power of Taiyang, as if commanded, rushed forth even if some of it seemed unwilling, eventually converging obediently on Lin Yuanyang's spirit's right hand. For a time, two suns hung in the sky. In the end, Lin Yuan weighed the sun in his right hand, deeming its mass satisfactory, then he threw it towards the nearby Black Gauze Archipelago. Chapter 244 Founding Artifact of the Sect, Taihao Immortal Mirror, please subscribe. Black Gauze Archipelago. Main Island Council Hall. 12 Mahayana Phase Heaven Lords, 56 nascent soul true monarchs gathered here. Even in the politically complex and ever-changing Eastern Sea Islands, 12 Heaven Lords and 56 true monarchs formed a force that could not be ignored. Among the 800 minor sects and 3,000 factions of the left paths, this force could easily rank within the top 10. What's more, the power of Black Gauze Archipelago had completely integrated into the Eastern Sea Islands. Apart from the 3 strongest Mahayana Phase Heaven Lords, no one knew that the Black Gauze Archipelago was secretly controlled and driven by the Daoist Immortal sect's Mu Mengting. Although the 800 minor sects and 3,000 factions of the left paths in the Eastern Sea Islands constantly fought among themselves year-round, they were exceedingly xenophobic, and if they discovered a mole from the Daoist Immortal sect had infiltrated their territory, even if they dared not act against it, they would subconsciously stop their internal strife and instinctively band together. This would violate the basic strategy of the Daoist Immortal sect in dealing with the Eastern Sea Islands. For the Daoist Immortal sect, It's best to have the 800 minor sects and 3,000 factions of the left paths of the Eastern Sea in constant chaos and infighting. As for unity, what difference would that make from the demon Tao, the ghost path, or the demonic Tao? Mu Mengting secretly controlled the Black Gauze archipelago, stirring up the situation in the Eastern Sea and incidentally amassing a large amount of resources and wealth with a masterful approach. Compared with the complex suppression of the demonic Tao to the north, the demon Tao to the west, and the ghost path to the south by other members of the Immortal sect, Mu Mengting's control of Black Gauze archipelago was definitely a cushy job. This was also the favoritism of the Daoist Immortal sect's sect master towards Mu Mengting. In a while, he'll make a trip to the central divine continent and hand over the gains of these 100 years. In the council hall, a Mahayana phase heaven lord seated at the chief position thought to himself. He looked down at the many nascent soul true monarchs below and the other heaven lords seated to his left and right, just about to speak. Just then, the complexion of this Mahayana phase heaven lord changed slightly. He suddenly felt the air around him becoming scorching hot. Not good. More than 10 Mahayana phase heaven lords dramatically changed their expressions, instinctively soaring into the sky, the unique aura of Mahayana phase cultivators, the oppressive might that looked down upon mortals and dominated rise and fall, suddenly erupted. However, the next moment, a trace of despair appeared on the faces of the dozen Mahayana phase heaven lords. Because they saw a sun plummeting towards the Black Gauze archipelago. Above the clouds, Lin Yuan withdrew his right hand, glancing down at the Black Gauze archipelago below. At this moment, the Black Gauze archipelago had turned into a sea of fire, with the auras of various true monarchs and heaven lords constantly erupting, only to be quickly extinguished. The secret technique of the Wanyang lineage truly has a terrifying lethal power. Seeing this, Lin Yuan nodded slightly. The sun he had just thrown down was a simplified version of the Wanyang same heaven, a secret technique once activated by the Wanyang Holy Sun. Having crossed hands with the Wanyang Holy Sun twice, Lin Yuan had already learned most of the latter's unique skills with his against heaven's understanding. If it was in the main world, Lin Yuan certainly would not have casually activated a secret technique related to the Wanyang lineage, because it could easily be recognized by other high-rank evolvers, leading to potential copyright disputes. The laws of the human alliance in the main world are sound, providing good protection for many secret techniques and laws. If you're not a disciple of that lineage and haven't purchased the secret technique from that lineage, yet you use it, that's considered stealing. No matter in which star domain or star alliance, it is deemed illegal. But while traveling between worlds, there is no need to hide. Especially now that Lin Yuan is a Yang spirit avatar, he doesn't need to be excessively cautious. The Black Gauze archipelago, Lin Yuan looked down, ensuring that there were no survivors. The reason he targeted the Black Gauze archipelago was mainly for two reasons. One was to take revenge for himself and Jun Dongjin. His father, Jun Dongjin, had a mutated heavenly spiritual root and his talent was unmatched among the younger generation of the Daoist Immortal sect. But due to his status, when faced with provocation by Mu Mengting, he could only suffer in silence. Now that he had the opportunity for revenge, Lin Yuan would not let it pass by. The second reason was that he wanted to spread the martial path evolutionary path in the Eastern Sea Islands, where he was bound to clash with the Black Gauze archipelago eventually. Rather than being obstructed and troubled by the Black Gauze archipelago in the future, he might as well take decisive action now and eradicate it entirely. Gather. Lin Yuan, gazing down upon the Black Gauze archipelago, took a deep breath. In an instant, a massive amount of extremely pure spiritual energy surged toward him. As one of the top forces of the Eastern Sea Islands, the Black Gauze archipelago naturally had amassed a wealth of treasures and resources, especially those gathered for Mu Mengting, which had yet to be handed over and were stored on the island's treasury, as well as within the storage ring of the leading Mahayana heavenly monarch. Now that the Black Gauze archipelago had been reduced to a sea of fire, everything was burned clean. Those treasures and resources, under the incineration of Taiyang true fire, turned into the most pure spiritual energy and essence. All of it was devoured by Lin Yuan. Quite a lot. Having swallowed everything, a smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. The essence and spiritual energy he had just consumed was enough to elevate a beginning-stage Mahayana heavenly monarch to the middle stage or even the late stage. Daoist Immortal Sect. Mu Mengting stood up, about to report to the Immortal Sect leader the results of these years of battle and how the Black Gauze archipelago he controlled had stirred up the situation in the Eastern Sea. Suddenly, Mu Mengting's expression drastically changed. How is this possible? Mu Mengting's complexion looked terrible. He even carried a trace of panic. Because he noticed that the life tablets of the group of Mahayana heavenly monarchs and nascent soul true monarchs in the Black Gauze archipelago had shattered simultaneously. What did this mean? It meant that all the Mahayana heavenly monarchs and nascent soul true monarchs had fallen, and their time of death was nearly identical. In addition, it also meant that the Black Gauze archipelago, which he had painstakingly managed, was no longer in existence. If even the Mahayana heavenly monarchs and nascent soul true monarchs had perished, what about the other cultivators and personnel? Chapter 245 Founding Artifact of the Sect, Taihao Immortal Mirror, please subscribe. What has happened? Seated in the main seat, the leader of the Daoist Immortal Sect spoke. Sect Master. The divinity transformation and nascent soul cultivators of the Black Gauze archipelago have just perished. Mu Mengting dared not conceal anything and immediately spoke up. What? The eyes of the Daoist Immortal Sect leader turned cold. How dare they? The Daoist Immortal Sect leaders suddenly stood up. At the same time, above the head of the Daoist Immortal Sect leader, a mirror emitting boundless light and ages appeared. A beam of light, as if penetrating through time and space, shot out from the highest place of the Daoist Immortal Sect, and in just a few moments, it descended in front of the Black Gauze archipelago in the East Sea. Above the clouds, Lin Yuan, who was relishing, slightly changed his expression and looked up toward the terrifying mirror light coming from the Daoist Immortal Sect. His figure silently disappeared. The next moment, the mirror light arrived. It transformed into a phantom. Upon closer inspection, it was indeed the appearance of the Daoist Immortal Sect leader. The phantom looked down at the Black Gauze archipelago, which had been transformed into a sea of fire, swept its icy gaze around, and with a cold snort, disappeared without a trace. Tens of thousands of miles away, Lin Yuanyang's yang spirit appeared. Is that the founding artifact of the sect, the Taihao Immortal Mirror? Lin Yuan's expression grew somewhat solemn as he thought to himself. Using his yang spirit form, it took him half a month to fly from the cloud mist-blessed land to the East Sea. But the leader of the Daoist Immortal Sect, with the help of the Taihao Immortal Mirror, arrived in the East Sea in just a few moments? Is the Daoist Immortal Sect leader that powerful? Of course not. The Daoist Immortal Sect leader is only at the refining illusionary and hollow realm, equivalent to the 6th rank, 4th to 9th layer of the main world. He couldn't possibly have such terrifying speed. All of this was due to the founding artifact of the sect, the Taihao Immortal Realm. This immortal artifact's power is limitless, its mirror light capable of reaching any corner of the central divine continent. No wonder 12,000 years ago, the blood demon in the north, the ghost cultivator king in the south, and the barbaric demon saint in the east, gathering the powers of 3 refining void ancient saints, wanted to initiate a decisive battle yet were still utterly defeated by the Daoist Immortal Sect. Lin Yuan's thoughts surged. However, the one who just descended must not be the Immortal Sect leader himself, but an incarnation of the Immortal Mirror, and crossing such a long distance must also entail considerable consumption. Lin Yuan analyzed in his heart. Daoist Immortal Sect. Inside the Great Hall, the Daoist Immortal Sect leader, who had stood up, watched as the mirror above his head slowly disappeared. The Daoist Immortal Sect leader then sat back down. Sect Master? Mu Mengting couldn't help but ask. At that moment he was extremely heartbroken, for he had spent many years cultivating the Black Gauze archipelago. The dozen or so divinity transformation heaven lords and dozens of nascent soul true monarchs were not only his subordinates, nurtured over many years, and unrelated to the Daoist Immortal sect, but their use in the Eastern Sea Islands was also irreplaceable. The Daoist Immortal sect disdained the Eastern Sea Islands because they were resource-poor and unnecessary to occupy. But resource-poor, in comparison to the Daoist Immortal sect, for a cultivator who could hold even a small part of the Eastern Sea Islands in their grip, the benefits were still remarkably substantial. This, Mu Mengting had deeply experienced over the years. But now, everything was gone. They didn't know how much effort it took to barely cultivate more than a dozen divinity transformation heaven lords, all of which were now lost. The person has fled. The Daoist Immortal sect leader shook his head slightly. Upon hearing this, everyone present showed a look of shock. Even Mu Mengting, despite his extreme heartache, had his pupil's contract. The sect master had activated the founding artifact of the sect, the Taihao Immortal Mirror, with its boundless and unmatched power, yet the person who destroyed the Black Gauze Archipelago had escaped? Look! The Daoist Immortal sect leader's mind stirred. A series of illusory images appeared above the Great Hall. Just now, although he hadn't captured the chief culprit, he had traced back part of the scene based on the residual aura left on the field. All the people in the Great Hall looked towards the scene displayed. Black Gauze Archipelago, waters rippling. The scene showed the Black Gauze Archipelago in a state of tranquility. At that moment, high above the clouds, a figure had appeared, unbeknownst to anyone. The figure was hazy and indistinct, its specific shape and appearance unclear, merely gazing silently downward at the Black Gauze Archipelago. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the blurry figure above the clouds slowly extended its right hand. In an instant, the scene began to distort. Infinite fire system power continuously converged in the right hand of the blurry figure, forming a mini-sun composed of massive amounts of Taiyang true fire. The brilliance and heat of the mini-sun were nearly parallel to that of the great sun in the sky. The next scene chilled everyone's heart even more. The person above the clouds simply tossed the mini-sun in their hand towards the Black Gauze Archipelago. The scene ended. "What a terrifying fire system Dao technique," remarked an elder with golden, lion-maned curls, unable to contain his astonishment. Just within a moment's breathing time, to condense such huge Taiyang true fire not only points to the reason of strong cultivation realm but also indicates a terrifying control over the power of Taiyang. "Since when did such a powerful being appear in the East Sea?" asked the Daoist Immortal sect leader from the higher seat, furrowing his brows. Considering the power demonstrated by that blurry figure, it had already reached Mahayana perfection and was even beginning to infinitely approach the refining void ancient saint layer. "Pay more attention to this person," said the Daoist Immortal sect leader. "Yes," the crowd below responded in unison. "Xiaoyao Zhilan, you two should just stay inside the sect and not go out in the near future." Mu Lianer glanced at Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan and transmitted her voice. "If you encounter this person, don't even think about resisting, just use your life-saving measures and run." After giving her instructions, Mu Lianer's gaze turned to Lin Yuan, who looked exceedingly well-behaved sitting nearby. "You too, learn more from Wuji and don't always think about going out. How dangerous is it outside?" "Wuji is very good, spending all his days inside Cloud Mist Blessed Land, not going anywhere." Mu Lianer looked at her youngest son with relief. Although Jun Wuji had no spirit root, he was much steadier, at least not causing her any worry. Half a day later, the Hollow Void Realm ceremony ended. Lin Yuan left accompanied by the farewells of Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan. He returned to Cloud Mist Blessed Land. "Little brother, we are heading back first," said Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan, bidding him farewell before hastily departing. The appearance of a mysterious figure skilled in fire system Dao techniques in the East Sea had caught the attention of the Daoist Immortal sect, and they needed to discuss how to deal with this powerful entity. The Daoist Immortal sect, known for its dominating actions, absolutely didn't allow the emergence of a being beyond their control. A month later, news came from the East Sea. Bayou Island was about to appear. Bayou Island was an extraordinarily unique island. It was akin to a blessed paradise of the East Sea, teeming with thick spiritual energy, making it a sacred ground for cultivation. However, Bayou Island was not immobile. It would sink into the deep sea every 2,000 years. Deep sea bottoms, perilously dangerous, were home to ancient demonic beasts that have survived from tens of thousands of years ago. Thus, each time Bayou Island sank, cultivators on the island could only leave. Not even Mahayana phase heaven lords dared to sink together with Bayou Island. The depths of the sea harbored terrifying sea pressures, and even the Mahayana phase heaven lords' powers were hindered, let alone those unfathomable ancient beasts. Mahayana phase heaven lords would find their scalps tingling with fear. It had been 2,000 years since the last time Bayou Island submerged. Calculating the time, the island was due to resurface soon. When the time arrived, Bayou Island, carrying 2,000 years' worth of accumulated thick spiritual energy, would return to the East Sea. Given that the East Sea was originally not rich in spiritual energy, only a few dozen suitable places for cultivation existed, most of which were occupied by hundreds of secondary doors and 3,000 left paths. Now with the impending appearance of Bayou Island, countless East Sea cultivators were preparing eagerly, hoping to secure a cultivation cave dwelling on Bayou Island. Cloud mist blessed land. Inside the cultivation chamber, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, his inner chi undergoing gradual changes, seeming to be transforming bit by bit. Finally, as if reaching a certain limit, Lin Yuan's entire being surged in aura, which then quickly settled down. 6th rank, Lin Yuan opened his eyes, a smile appearing on his face. Chapter 246 To Be or Not to Be, over 5,000 words mega chapter, please subscribe. All my strength has been restored. Lin Yuan's smile faded, and his eyes became calm. 6th rank, equivalent to the ancient saint of refinement void in this realm. One could almost be considered the strongest in the current age, even facing the Daoist immortal sect master wielding the founding artifact of the sect. It would be very difficult to kill an ancient saint of refinement void completely, at most, limit and suppress the latter. The methods of the ancient saints can indeed be considered inconceivable. From the 1st rank to the 6th rank, it's nothing for me, just retracing my steps. The path of cultivation beyond the 6th rank is what matters. Lin Yuan thought to himself. To carve out the 6th rank chapter of the martial arts evolution system, even relying on against heaven's understanding, it's not an overnight feat. One needs to keep trying, to open up and choose the most suitable path from many directions. This time through, Lin Yuan had 2 goals. The first was to carve out the 6th rank chapter of the martial arts evolution system as much as possible. At least to cultivate to the extreme level of the 6th rank. With a 500-year stay, Lin Yuan believed it was no big issue. The second was to spread the martial arts evolution system, to root his path as deeply as possible in this world, facilitating his future ultimate leap. The immortal cultivation system of this realm could be used as a reference. Lin Yuan contemplated within. The martial path evolutionary path he established was built on the flesh and blood of many other evolutionary paths. Now, taking the immortal cultivation system as a reference should come naturally. Of course, Lin Yuan was also clear about the importance of things. His referencing of the immortal path's evolutionary path was just that, referencing. No matter how many cultivation systems or evolutionary paths are borrowed, the martial Tao cultivation system still has its own core, with a clear distinction between primary and secondary. Otherwise, could the martial path evolutionary path still be called by that name in the future? The martial path evolutionary path was created by Lin Yuan after exhausting efforts, and it contains his strong personal life imprint. It's like a towering tree. You can prune its branches and leaves, but you cannot tamper with the main trunk and roots. Next, I can devote some energy to raising my body cultivation realm to the refined void level, Lin Yuan decided within his heart. The lineage of body cultivation is an extension of the immortal cultivation system, yet it fits quite well with the martial path evolutionary path. Both share something in common. That is the exploration of the physical body. Of course, in the tens of thousands of years in Central Divine Continent, there has never been a body cultivator who reached the refining void level. But Lin Yuan was different. What countless favored sons of the past in this world couldn't do, Lin Yuan believed he could. And now that he had regained 6th rank martial Tao strength, with his formidable and incomparable body, cultivating the body cultivation technique would surely make rapid progress. Along with the guidance of Against Heaven's understanding to chart the course ahead, becoming an unprecedented refining void body cultivator was likely just a matter of time. The reason for devoting energy to body cultivation was that Lin Yuan deduced that a body cultivator at the refining void level would almost inevitably develop physical body divine abilities. Such means greatly enhance one's abilities in certain aspects, and Lin Yuan was quite curious about them. Moreover, sharpening the axe won't delay the work of cutting wood. Understanding the lineage of body cultivation techniques would also help Lin Yuan's martial path evolutionary path significantly. While Lin Yuan was retreating to Cloud Mist Blessed Land to cultivate and seek enlightenment, the Eastern Sea Islands were continually stirring major upheavals. There were mainly two things. The first, Baiyu Island's emergence was imminent. After 2,000 years of nurturing in the depths of the sea, Baiyu Island's emergence was bringing not only a cultivation holy land comparable to the blessed lands of Central Divine Continent. The spiritual medicines and immortal roots that grew on the island had also fully matured. As Baiyu Island's 2,000-year cycle of sinking and floating had become regular, many cultivators planted spiritual medicines and immortal roots on the island prior to its submersion 2,000 years ago. Hence, after 2,000 years of growth, most have matured, and at the bottom of the deep sea, undisturbed, their growth is exceptionally fine. Therefore, for the cultivators of the Eastern Sea, no matter if it's the 800 secondary schools, the 3,000 left paths, or other independent cultivators, Baiyu Island is a great opportunity. No one is uninterested. Even the Blood Demon to the north and the Ghost Cultivator King to the south have set their sights on Baiyu Island. Beyond Baiyu Island's emergence, the other issue that stirred the passions of many cultivators in the Eastern Sea Islands had to do with the destruction of the Black Gauze Archipelago. This matter can be divided into two aspects. First is the mysterious powerhouse who, using the fire system Dao, in one fell swoop turned the Black Gauze Archipelago into nothingness. Outsiders almost believe that this mysterious powerhouse is only a line away from the ancient saint layer, or possibly already infinitely close to the ancient saint level. Otherwise, how could there be such a heaven-reaching method that left more than 10 heavenly monarchs and dozens of true monarchs of the Black Gauze Archipelago unable to even resist, and they perished completely? The other aspect is that after the mysterious powerhouse obliterated the Black Gauze Archipelago, the vast light from the founding artifact of the sect from the Daoist Immortal sect in Central Earth descended upon the Black Gauze Archipelago. The Taihao Immortal Mirror is the only immortal artifact of this realm. Its light represents boundless light, boundless kulpa, its might immense, and the disturbance of transporting it from the Immortal sect through to the Eastern Sea cannot be easily concealed. Since that mysterious powerhouse just wiped out the Black Gauze Archipelago, and the vast light of the founding artifact arrived so quickly, it was hard not to link the two together. What is the background of that mysterious powerhouse? No matter where they are from, that mysterious powerhouse must have a troubled relationship with the Daoist Immortal sect. Indeed, otherwise the Daoist Immortal sect would not use their founding artifact. Even using it once would be a drain, even for an ancient saint of refinement void. Such a powerhouse nearly stepping into ancient saint level shouldn't just appear out of nowhere, right? Could it be a powerful figure nurtured by the Ghost Cultivator King to the south? Chapter 247 To Be or Not to Be, over 5,000 words mega chapter, please subscribe, _2. Ghost Cultivator King? The Ghost Cultivator King is indeed strong, an ancient sage-level expert, but for him to cultivate someone to the ultimate firmness and yang, wielding Taiyang true fire at the pinnacle of Mahayana perfection, that might be a challenge too great for even the mighty. Indeed, that mysterious powerhouse excels in Taiyang true fire, the nemesis of ghost cultivators and blood demons, definitely not from the south or the north. Could it be the work of the barbaric demon saint from the west? But that doesn't seem likely, and besides, the demon Tao from the west has Mount Morality Immortal standing between it and the East Sea, making it quite difficult to cross over, let alone have any intention in coming here. Many cultivators of the Eastern Sea Islands were discussing fervently. They continuously speculated about the origins of that mysterious powerhouse. After all, although the Eastern Sea Islands were a mix of dragons and snakes, a Mahayana heavenly monarch close to the refining void period was extremely rare. The addition of even one more could influence the current situation of the Eastern Sea Islands. Blood Demon Sea. The Vermilion Sea, red as blood, undulated. In the depths of the Blood Demon Sea, on an islet, a man in a crimson robe was sitting cross-legged. In front of him floated illusory scenes of Lin Yuanyang's recent annihilation of the Black Gauze Archipelago. Taiyang True Fire? How long has it been since a heavenly monarch who mastered Taiyang True Fire appeared? The corners of the crimson-robed man's mouth lifted, revealing a hint of a smile. Taiyang True Fire, the world's utmost young and toughest flame, said to burn everything to ashes. It seems he's not from the Daoist Immortal sect. The crimson-robed man fell into thought, then spoke, "Come, Master." The blood sea churned around him, and a figure emerged, bowing to the man in crimson. "Go and find out more about this person. Do not offend him. The enemy of immortal sects is a friend of mine, understand?" The crimson-robed man spoke indifferently. Ghost Palace of Netherworld. Upon a somber and pitch-black throne sat a gaunt man. Such a level of Taiyang True Fire. The gaunt man frowned slightly. As a ghost cultivator, even reaching the refined void realm, he instinctively detested the Taiyang True Fire, this utmost yang flame. However, the gaunt man knew well that the mysterious powerhouse wielding Taiyang True Fire must have a grudge with the Daoist Immortal sect. Therefore, no matter what power he wielded, he would be an ally of the Ghost Palace of Netherworld. Xiao Lu. The gaunt man spoke up. A weak and delicate-looking woman appeared. If one observed carefully, they would find that this delicate woman's figure was somewhat translucent. She was a ghost cultivator. Go to the East Sea. Try your best to gather information about this person. After speaking, the gaunt man added another instruction. Remember, he might be our ally, so we must avoid any reckless actions. Time passed by. 5 years flit by in the blink of an eye. Cloud mist blessed land. In the cultivation chamber, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged alone. The blood in his body flowed like a great river, and his hot blood qi made the temperature of the whole chamber soar, even distorting the air. Physical cultivation godhood peak. Just a little more, and I can attempt to break through to refine void. Lin Yuan opened his eyes, settling his blood qi. I can vaguely feel that deep within my bloodline, some power is awakening. Could that be the physical body divine ability? Anticipation appeared on Lin Yuan's face. Physical body divine ability is unique to each individual, stemming from the latent power deep within one's bloodline. Before the complete awakening of the physical body divine ability, no one knows what their power might be. Of course, no matter what kind of physical body divine ability one has, it's greatly beneficial to a cultivator, an independent force outside the immortal cultivation system. Take it slow. I'm not in a hurry. Lin Yuan stopped cultivating. In the past 5 years, aside from advancing his physical cultivation from the initial stage of divinity transformation to the peak, Lin Yuan also progressed in the martial Tao cultivation system from the first segment of the 6th rank to the 3rd segment. If measured by the realm standards of the local immortal cultivation system, Lin Yuan would now be considered at the entrain void realm, at the very peak. It's time to calculate. Bayou Island should be emerging. Lin Yuan's mind shifted slightly as he looked in the direction of the East Sea. About 5 or 6 years ago, there had been rumors that Bayou Island was about to emerge. But in reality, the process from the near emergence of Bayou Island to its complete surfacing requires a considerable amount of time. After all, rising from the depths of the deep sea to the surface cannot be accomplished overnight. But even if it's slow, by now, it should be close to surfacing. It's just the right timing. If I want to spread martial Tao and establish a power base, I must have a territory. Daoist Immortal sect has Mount Morality Immortal, the Blood Demon Lord occupies the north, the Ghost Cultivator King claims the south, the Barbaric Demon Saint claims the west, Then I, in martial Tao, shall start with Baiyu Island. Lin Yuan thought to himself. First secure Baiyu Island, then recruit disciples and cultivate martial Tao. According to Lin Yuan's plan, within no more than 200 years he will sweep across the eastern sea islands, and in 300 years, martial Tao would stand alongside demon Tao, ghost path, and demonic Tao, on par with the Daoist immortal sect. As for how far martial Tao can go, that will depend on the realm Lin Yuan is able to cultivate to. Eastern Sea Islands. Lin Yuan Yang stood mighty amidst the clouds. Baiyu Island. Lin Yuan gazed into the distance. There, spiritual energy burst forth like the origin of the East Sea's spiritual energy, spewing vast amounts of it in all directions. This was the sign that Baiyu Island was about to fully emerge. Let's go. Lin Yuan's figure vanished. In the depths of the East Sea, spiritual energy surged mightily, overwhelming the surroundings. A massive island slowly floated up from beneath the sea surface. To call it an island might be an understatement. Its area was several times larger than Kanglin's star, but compared to the vast sea and the central divine continent, it was indeed just an island. Baiyu Island has emerged. Chapter 248 To Be or Not to Be, super large chapter of over 5,000 words. Please subscribe. _3. Hurry up, if you're late, all the opportunities will be taken. Yes, we need to move fast. Tens of thousands of Eastern Sea cultivators had already been waiting for a long time. The moment Baiyu Island appeared, they were ready to swarm towards it. However, just then, a mighty heavenly might enveloped everything. Dozens of Mahayana phase heaven lords, standing proudly under the heavens. It's the heaven lords. Damn it, the heaven lords from the 800 sects and 3,000 left paths have joined forces. They aim to monopolize Baiyu Island. How infuriating! Why don't we have a heaven lord as our support? Countless Eastern Sea rogue cultivators felt both angry and helpless. In the Eastern Sea Islands, the strong are revered. Such is the rule, the iron law. Fellow Daoists, we will not let everyone return without gain. The outer regions of Baiyu Island will soon be open to all. Under the heavens, a female heaven lord spoke, her voice echoing in the ears of every cultivator. The outer region? It's acceptable, though the spiritual energy is far less than inside Baiyu Island, it's still better than the outside. Who called us weak? Upon hearing this, many Eastern Sea rogue cultivators breathed a slight sigh of relief. At least, they hadn't come here in vain this time. Above Baiyu Island, under the heavens, the dozens of Mahayana phase heaven lords confronted each other. This time, as Baiyu Island emerges, White Bone Sect intends to occupy 50% of the core region, said a heaven lord, his figure skeletal, slowly. This heaven lord was known as Baigu Heaven Lord, the master of White Bone Sect among the 800 sections. White Bone Sect, in the context of the 800 sects, was an extremely powerful force, ranking within the top 5. 50% of the core region of Baiyu Island, Baigu Heaven Lord, have you lost your mind? Another heaven lord, emanating a gloomy aura, furrowed his brows. He was known as Een Mountain Heaven Lord, master of the Een Mountain sect. Though Een Mountain Heaven Lord was not as strong as Baigu Heaven Lord, there were dozens of heaven lords present. No matter how strong Baigu Heaven Lord was, could he really oppose everyone? Indeed. Baigu, you are too greedy. At most, we'll give you 10% of the core region. The female heaven lord who spoke first opened her mouth again. She was the leader of the Divine Divination sect and also known as Divine Divination Celestial Lord. Haha. I have reached Mahayana perfection, just half a step away from advancing to the ancient saint of refinement void realm. Not to mention 50% of the core region, even if it were 100%, what could you possibly do to me? Baigu Heaven Lord sneered coldly, his aura, almost at the pinnacle of a Mahayana heavenly monarch, began to permeate the area. Among the dozens of heaven lords present, their hearts suddenly tightened. Though they were all Mahayana phase heaven lords, most were just at the early phase, a few at the middle phase, and very few at the late phase. As for someone like Baigu Heaven Lord, At near Mahayana perfection, there was none other. In the Eastern Sea Islands, the strong are revered. Since I am the strongest, it is only natural that I enjoy the best resources. Any objections? Baigu Heaven Lord's tone was extremely domineering as he glanced at the other Heaven Lords. The strongest? Baigu Heaven Lord, you are not the strongest in the Eastern Sea. Have you forgotten about the mysterious mighty one who burned down the burnt black gauze archipelago a few years ago? One Heaven Lord retorted, unconvinced. That one, Baigu Heaven Lord remained proud. With my strength, even if that mysterious mighty one appeared, what could they possibly do? Baigu Heaven Lord had the confidence to back it up. Based on the lingering aura from the burnt black gauze archipelago, the outside world's consensus on that mysterious powerhouse was that he was at the Mahayana perfection level. He absolutely had not touched the realm of the ancient saint of refinement void. Given this, the Baigu Heaven Lord was fearless. You are at Mahayana perfection. So am I? Who's afraid of whom? Even if I can't beat you, you won't be able to defeat me either. Enough. Does anyone else have any objections? The Baigu Heaven Lord didn't want to waste words. He was ready to descend swiftly and enjoy the dense spiritual energy of White Jade Island. The surrounding Mahayana heavenly monarchs looked at each other, and in the end, none had the courage to oppose the Baigu Heaven Lord. After all, this was a Mahayana perfection powerhouse. The Baigu Heaven Lord glanced at the crowd, snorted coldly, and was about to enter White Jade Island. Just then, from below on White Jade Island, a figure leisurely flew out. Someone entered White Jade Island before us? The celestial lords present were somewhat stunned. They had been guarding outside White Jade Island. How could someone enter under their watch? The Een Mountain sect lord sensed the aura of the newcomer and his expression instantly changed. It's that mysterious powerhouse. Yes, the aura is unmistakable. The numerous celestial lords prepared for battle. The figure that emerged from White Jade Island had the power of Taiyang flowing around him. Watching this figure was like looking directly at the sun overhead. The mysterious powerhouse? The Baigu Heaven Lord's expression was solemn. Although he had thought that someday he might confront this mystery powerhouse, also at Mahayana perfection, he had not anticipated it would be so soon. Under the watchful eyes of dozens of Mahayana heavenly monarchs, Lin Yuan ascended to the skies, reaching a height parallel to the celestial lords. The Baigu Heaven Lord's expression changed, but he restrained himself from acting impulsively. Without understanding the mysterious powerhouse's intentions, it was better to opt for peace. Seeing the Baigu Heaven Lord hold back, the other celestial lords naturally dared not make a move either. Lin Yuan looked over the many divinity transformation stage celestial lords, his demeanor calm. 800 secondary paths, 3,000 left paths, I am the White Jade Island Lord. Lin Yuan's lips curved into a smile as he softly said, Is it or isn't it? His voice was soft, yet it reached every celestial lord's ears, and even the many Eastern Sea freelancers below could hear these two sentences. The dozens of celestial lords looked at each other in silence, their gazes flicking back to the Baigu Heaven Lord. The Baigu Heaven Lord only wanted 5 parts in the core area of White Jade Island. This mysterious powerhouse, on the other hand, had plans to claim the entire White Jade Island. The Baigu Heaven Lord looked toward Lin Yuan, his face showing anger, his arrogance immense. Did he really think the Baigu Heaven Lord was like any other ordinary Mahayana heavenly monarch? Wanting to be the Lord of White Jade Island, had he asked the Baigu Heaven Lord's permission? Seeing no one respond, Lin Yuan's gaze swept over the celestial lords again, his expression growing colder. Be it or not. Boom. With that statement, it was as though a decree had been announced. The Baigu Heaven Lord's expression wildly changed, and the surrounding celestial lords also showed fear. We pay our respects to the White Jade Island Lord. The Baigu Heaven Lord immediately bowed deeply toward Lin Yuan. The other dozens of celestial lords did the same, all bowing in unison toward Lin Yuan. We pay our respects to the White Jade Island Lord. Chapter 249, Establishing the Tao Order and the Ultimate Physical Body. Please subscribe. Above White Jade Island, Lin Yuan stood with his hands behind his back, his expression serene. Led by Baigu Heaven Lord, dozens of Mahayana phase Heaven Lords all bowed deeply with utmost respect. Rise. Lin Yuan was in a good mood. He had just taken a stroll inside White Jade Island and found the environment quite pleasing, very suitable to be the starting point for spreading the martial Tao. Using White Jade Island as the origin of martial Tao was undoubtedly the best choice for the initial stage. Yes. The group of Mahayana phase Heaven Lords, like Baigu Heaven Lord, simultaneously heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. Compared to Lin Yuan's good spirits, the shock in the hearts of these Mahayana phase Heaven Lords could only be described as earth-shattering. Especially for Baigu Heaven Lord at the forefront, his heart was churning with tempestuous waves. The moment Lin Yuan had uttered the 4 words, "Neither is also is," Baigu Heaven Lord was already prepared to take action. What a joke! White Jade Island was a grand opportunity that appeared only once in thousands of years in the East Sea. Why should he just give up such a precious island on Lin Yuan's mere claim to be the White Jade Island Lord? But before Baigu Heaven Lord could act, he felt an overwhelming pressure descend upon him, vast as the ocean. In that moment, Baigu Heaven Lord felt as if he had returned to his foundation establishment days, witnessing 2 nascent Soul Period true monarchs battle ferociously. That all-encompassing oppression made Baigu Heaven Lord's spirit tremble, and without any hesitation he acknowledged Lin Yuan as the rightful lord of White Jade Island. Because Baigu Heaven Lord realized that if he didn't do so, his fate would be very, very grim. He might even end up dead, his cultivation path obliterated. Compared to his own life, what was White Jade Island? Baigu Heaven Lord glanced at the other Mahayana phase Heaven Lords who were pale, knowing they must have had a similar experience. This mysterious powerhouse is not just at the peak of Mahayana, he must, at the very least, have touched the threshold of the refined void stage, possibly even a half-step refinement void ancient saint. Baigu Heaven Lord felt helpless inside. To progress from the Mahayana phase to the refining void period, one must overcome numerous major stages. Mahayana perfection just signifies reaching the peak, the ultimate limit of the Mahayana phase. But the distance to the void refinement realm was still unfathomably far. This was also why there were so few refinement void ancient saints in this world. Specifically, after reaching Mahayana perfection, there are still 3 or 4 stages to go through. They are touching the threshold of refined void, 1 foot entering refined void, both feet entering refined void, and more than half the body entering the refined void, and so on. In fact, in the main world, progressing from 5th rank to 6th rank is similarly complex, requiring a transformation and integration of the soul. For every additional % of transformation, one's strength increases by that much more, and when Lin Yuan's soul transformation reached 100%, his combat power had reached the threshold of 6th rank. Of course, this sort of explanation holds little meaning for the vast majority of cultivators. In the eyes of nascent Soul Period true monarchs, the difference between Mahayana perfection and almost fully entering refined void is negligible. But at this moment, Baigu Heaven Lord, who had deeply felt Lin Yuan's oppressive aura, believed that Lin Yuan possessed at least the strength of a half-step refinement void ancient saint. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible to overwhelm him with just his presence, to give him this kind of irresistible feeling. You should go back to where you came from. Lin Yuan glanced at the dozens of Mahayana phase Heaven Lords who were trembling with trepidation, unsure whether to stay or leave, and spoke indifferently. Then, White Jade Island Lord, we will take our leave first. The several dozen Mahayana phase Heaven Lords gratefully turned into beams of escape light, fleeing the area as if they had just been granted a pardon, like mice scurrying away from a cat. Lin Yuan watched as the numerous Mahayana phase Heaven Lords left. He did not make a move. With his power, he certainly could have detained all the Mahayana phase Heaven Lords. But that would accomplish little. The East Sea was vast, and though the cultivation environment wasn't nearly as good as that of the central divine continent, the area wasn't much smaller. If Lin Yuan were to kill all the Mahayana phase Heaven Lords, the whole Eastern Sea Islands would fall into even greater chaos. It would also draw the attention of the Daoist Immortal sect, and the Blood Demon Sea, Ghost Palace of Netherworld might take the opportunity to extend their reach into the East Sea. For Lin Yuan, The existence of these Mahayana phase heaven lords from the East Sea had no impact on him whether they were alive or dead, but their death would create greater chaos, which was why he had not acted with a killing intent. Above the sea's surface, countless cultivators of the East Sea watched incredulously as the several dozen heaven lords, previously as mighty as the heavens, discussed how to divide White Jade Island. Then, a figure emerged from within the island, and before saying much, claimed to be the Lord of White Jade Island. What was even more incredible was that Baigu Heaven Lord and the other Heaven Lords seemed to have no objections and promptly bowed down. It was like a fantastical tale. And now, the group of Mahayana phase cultivators led by Baigu Heaven Lord hastily departed from White Jade Island without any hesitation, as if White Jade Island suddenly wasn't a prize to vie for, but a place of nightmares. What on earth happened? Why did all the Heaven Lords leave? Who is the person who walked out of White Jade Island? Is he truly the White Jade Island Lord just because he says so? The numerous cultivators of the East Sea whispered among themselves. The scene was too inconceivable. The Heaven Lords, who were like immovable celestial beings, were now so benevolent? I remember now, this person must be the mysterious powerhouse who burnt the Black Gauze Archipelago years ago. I have been to the Black Gauze Archipelago before, and the Taiyang True Fire aura, so utterly young, is unforgettable to this day. So it's that powerhouse. Doesn't make sense though, wasn't it said that he was only at Mahayana perfection? How could he make Baigu Heaven Lord and a host of other Heaven Lords retreat? Isn't that simple? In the Eastern Sea Islands, power is respected. While Baigu Heaven Lord, also at Mahayana perfection, only dared to ask for half of the core area of White Jade Island. But this powerhouse directly took the entire White Jade Island for himself. It can only mean his strength far exceeds Mahayana perfection. Chapter 250 Establishing the Tao Order and the Ultimate Physical Body. Please subscribe. _2. Many scattered cultivators from the Eastern Sea Islands discussed in turn, ultimately speculating the majority of the situation. It wasn't difficult to figure out, whether it was in the East Sea or the Central Divine Continent, strength decided everything. That deities like Baigu Heaven Lord and others at the divinity transformation stage retreated was hard to imagine at first, but upon careful thought, one could understand the reasoning behind it. Under the expanse of the sky, Lin Yuan's gaze fell upon the numerous scattered cultivators of the Eastern Sea Islands below. I am Yuan Yang, the master of Baiyu Island. Today, I establish the White Jade Pavilion to broadly recruit disciples. Anyone who passes the test and joins the White Jade Pavilion will qualify to enter the core area of Baiyu Island for cultivation. As Lin Yuan spoke, his voice was gentle yet reverberated in the ears of every cultivator. Yuan Yang was the name Lin Yuan gave to this Yang spirit avatar, and the White Jade Pavilion was the force he planned to establish, in order to spread the martial path evolutionary path. After Lin Yuan finished speaking, he vanished above Baiyu Island. The numerous cultivators below exploded into discussion. Yuan Yang, so this mysterious powerhouse is called Yuan Yang? Did you all hear that? As long as you pass the test and join the White Jade Pavilion, you can enter the internal regions of Baiyu Island for cultivation. I want to apply to join the White Jade Pavilion. It's good to enjoy the shade under a big tree. Since Master Yuan Yang overpowered several Heaven Lords, following him must be right. The multitude of scattered cultivators were quite tempted. Of course, everyone knew very well that since Yuan Yang mentioned passing the test, it meant that not everyone could join the White Jade Pavilion. But in any case, it was still worth a try, with no loss involved. Lin Yuan's occupation of Baiyu Island and the establishment of White Jade Pavilion to recruit a large number of disciples not only caused a stir among the Eastern Sea Islands. It also caught the attention of the Daoist Immortal sect, situated in the Central Divine Continent. Mount Morality Immortal. At the highest summit, within the Grand Hall, the high-level cultivators of the Immortal sect gathered together. Above the main seat at the high end of the hall, the Immortal sect leader Mu Qinglu appeared. Sect Master. All present stood and bowed in greeting. Speak directly. Sect Master Mu Qinglu commanded. That mysterious powerhouse who took action against the Black Gauze Archipelago has appeared again. He calls himself Yuan Yang, claiming Baiyu Island, establishing the force of White Jade Pavilion, and broadly recruiting disciples. Mu Mengting immediately reported. He had paid close attention to this matter over the years. After all, the Black Gauze Archipelago was his many years of effort, and its overnight fall was a considerable blow. Oh! Are the divinity transformation cultivators of the East Sea allowing him to do as he pleases? Immortal sect leader Mu Qinglu frowned. That's not exactly the case. Mu Mengting hesitated before continuing. When Baiyu Island emerged, the Heaven Lords of the 800 sects and 3,000 left paths in the East Sea also harbored designs on Baiyu Island, but in the end, they all gave up voluntarily. Sect Master, that Yuan Yang's strength must not be as simple as just Mahayana perfection. It is estimated that he is at the half-step refined void level. The elder with golden, curly, lion-like hair stood and spoke. Half-step refinement void? Immortal sect leader Mu Qinglu fell into contemplation. What are your thoughts? How should we deal with this Yuan Yang and the White Jade Pavilion? Mu Qinglu asked. Sect Master, such a powerhouse, unless an ancient saint of refinement void makes a move, it is very difficult to deal with him. Jun Dongjin stated. A half-step refinement void ancient saint's power almost exceeds the divinity transformation stage. Without the ancient saints taking action, they stand unstoppable. Even using the sect's founding artifact, the Taihao Immortal Mirror, to project an avatar millions of miles away, they couldn't bother a half-step ancient saint. The power of an avatar of the mirror was far less than the true body, having at most a power that approached an ancient saint. But since Master Yuan Yang was a half-step ancient saint, only a true ancient saint could pose a threat to him. However, the Daoist Immortal sect had only one refinement void ancient saint, which was the sect master, and though they had many safeguarding foundations, they were all geared more towards defense and protection. Unless Master Yuan Yang personally set foot in the central divine continent, the Daoist Immortal sect was rather powerless, given his location in the vast East Sea. As for letting sect master Mu Qinglu take the founding artifact of the sect and head to the East Sea to suppress the enemy, the Daoist Immortal sect is not without enemies. North of the divine continent lies the Blood Demon Sea, south of it is the Ghost Palace of Netherworld, and west of it the barbaric demon Saint Nest. As long as sect master Mu Qinglu dares to leave the Immortal sect with the founding artifact, Mount Morality Immortal faces the risk of being attacked. To put one's own immortal mountain in jeopardy for a mere half-step refinement void ancient saint, regardless of how low the possibility, is simply not worth it. Let's just wait and see for now. The Immortal sect leader Mu Qinglu spoke. In fact, with the foundation of the Daoist Immortal sect, even if Mu Qinglu left with the founding artifact, the Ghost Palace of Netherworld, Blood Demon Sea, and barbaric demon Saint Nest could not breach Mount Morality Immortal in a short period, yet there was no necessity to withstand the siege of 3 ancient saints of refinement void without having a saint of the same tier defending. The Daoist Immortal sect would also have to pay a significant price. The Master Yuan Yang was merely a half-step refinement void ancient saint, and not worth the Daoist Immortal sect paying a price to deal with. For hundreds of thousands of years, Central Divine Continent had seen such figures come and go, not requiring the hand of the Immortal sect for them to disappear from history. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, another 10 years went by. On Baiyu Island in the East Sea, within the core cave dwelling, Lin Yuan Yang sat cross-legged, his Yang spirit. Upon reaching the 6th rank, Lin Yuan's Yang God and Yin God were almost solidified into substance. Unless he went all out, one would never be able to tell they were but avatars of the primordial spirit. After half a day, Lin Yuan finished his cultivation. Stepping out of the cave dwelling, he looked over the entire Baiyu Island. In 10 years, the White Jade Pavilion had significantly expanded. With a powerful figure like Lin Yuan as its anchor, many scattered cultivators from the East Sea were extremely eager to join the White Jade Pavilion. Of course, the requirement to join the White Jade Pavilion was that regardless of what cultivation methods one practiced before joining, after joining, one must abandon them and convert to martial Tao. This requirement deterred many scatter cultivators, but still, many were willing to willingly convert to martial Tao. As of today, the number of martial Tao cultivators in the White Jade capital has surpassed 100,000. Among them, 12 are at the third rank of martial Tao, 5,730 at the second layer, and over 90,000 at the first rank. The spiritual energy on Bayou Island is abundant, comparable to the blessed lands and caves of heaven in the central divine continent. Although martial Tao does not depend on nature's spiritual energy, having it is better than not. Master! Just as Lin Yuan stepped out of the cave dwelling, a girl with delicate features approached and respectfully greeted him. This girl, named Li Qing, was a disciple taken by Lin Yuan during the past 10 years. She possessed quite impressive martial talent and had already stepped into the third rank of martial Tao. How's the spread of the martial Tao cultivation methods going? Lin Yuan asked. Li Qing was not just talented, she was reliable and adept at handling affairs. Most of the White Jade Pavilion's matters were entrusted to her while Lin Yuan was in seclusion. Master, the initial chapter of the martial Tao cultivation methods has been spread across the eastern sea islands. Parts of it have even reached the central divine continent, the Blood Demon Sea, and Ghost Palace of Netherworld have also seen distribution. Li Qing replied. Good. Lin Yuan nodded. To spread the martial path evolutionary path, relying solely on the White Jade Island and White Jade Pavilion was clearly insufficient. Instead, it was necessary to let the martial arts system's methods disseminate in this world, so that even if the White Jade Island and White Jade Pavilion were to vanish, the martial arts system would continue to exist. This was Lin Yuan's goal. The world consciousness of this land was different from that of the Five Regions world and did not target a specific cultivation system. Cloud Mist Blessed Land. Inside the cultivation's secret chamber, Lin Yuan sat quietly, the breath within his body circulating. Suddenly, the aura released by Lin Yuan surged sharply. 6th rank, stage 5. Lin Yuan opened his eyes as the aura he emitted rapidly receded, making him seem like an ordinary person. After 10 years of cultivation, Lin Yuan had opened the 6th rank chapter of the martial arts evolution system to its 5th stage. However, Lin Yuan felt that the further he went, the greater the difficulty in advancing, for the paths he opened for the martial path evolutionary path were as perfect as possible. If he had only intended to create an ordinary 6th rank evolution path, there was no need for Lin Yuan to expend so much effort. However, it seems I can now break through to the refined void stage in body cultivation. A smile spread across Lin Yuan's face. Over the past 10 years, alongside the development of the martial path evolutionary path, he had not ceased his research into the path of body cultivation. Now Lin Yuan's proficiency in body cultivation had reached its pinnacle, lacking only the final step. Chapter 251 Flattening the Demon Saint's Nest. Please subscribe. Body cultivation void layer, I've almost completely comprehended it. Lin Yuan thought to himself. As long as he wished, he could now step into refined void in the body cultivation lineage, becoming the first body cultivation ancient saint in the central divine continent in hundreds of thousands of years. However, Lin Yuan's expression fell into brief contemplation. Unlike returning to the 6th rank, the lineage of body cultivation was new to Lin Yuan. If he broke through to body cultivation refined void, it would be difficult to perfectly conceal his aura as he did when returning to the 6th rank. Lin Yuan's return to the 6th rank emphasized return, having already traversed it once in the main world. Therefore, when he stepped into the 6th rank again in this immortal Tao world, as easy as eating and drinking, even the founding artifact of the sect, the Taihao Immortal Mirror, which monitored all aura in divine continent, did not detect Lin Yuan stepping into the 6th rank. But if he were to break through in the body cultivation lineage to refine void, Lin Yuan wasn't confident he could control his own aura, considering he had never walked this path before. I can't break through in Cloud Mist Blessed Land. Lin Yuan silently thought to himself. The Daoist Immortal sect was nearby. This place was under the direct surveillance of the Taihao Immortal Mirror. Any slight anomaly in aura would attract the attention of the Taihao Immortal Mirror, consequently drawing the gaze of the Immortal sect leader. For hundreds of thousands of years, why hadn't the Daoist Immortal sect, Blood Demon Sea, Nether Palace, and Demon Saint's Nest dared to invade easily? It was because of the Taihao Immortal Mirror. This immortal founding artifact, when activated on its own, could cover Central Divine Continent. If activated by an ancient saint, it could even form an immortal mirror incarnation and descend anywhere in this world. Of course, the farther the distance, the weaker the incarnation of the immortal mirror would be. Where to break through? In front of Lin Yuan, multiple screens of light appeared, showing a map of this world. Lin Yuan's gaze first fell on the area of the Eastern Sea Islands. After years of being presided over by Yang's spirit, White Jade Pavilion had already become the foremost among the 800 subsidiary sects and 3,000 left paths of the East Sea. No. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and then gently shook his head. The East Sea was indeed under the influence of White Jade Pavilion, but it was also a key focus area for the Daoist Immortal sect, Blood Demon Sea, and Ghost Palace of Netherworld. Especially as the influence of White Jade Pavilion had grown over the years, the Daoist Immortal sect had particularly increased their scrutiny here. Choosing to break through in the East Sea was not a good idea, as the immortal mirror incarnation of the Immortal sect master might descend at any time, making it unnecessary to take such a risk. Apart from the East Sea, Lin Yuan could only choose the north, south, or west. In fact, there was almost no difference between these three places. Although they were constantly ravaged and suppressed by the Daoist Immortal sect, the greater the suppression, the safer it was, as it was darkest under the lamp. Let's choose the west. Lin Yuan made up his mind. To the west was the domain of the barbaric demon beasts. The Demon Saint's Nest was the holy land of the barbaric demon beasts, guarded by a demon saint whose power paralleled the ancient saint of refined void layer. And the barbaric demon saint Nest was under the purview of Jun Wuji's father, Jun Dongjin, who was responsible for the suppression and sweeping of the area. Over the years, Lin Yuan had roughly figured out the deployment and routine of the Immortal sect disciples suppressing the barbaric demon beasts. With this knowledge, Lin Yuan could definitely achieve his breakthrough unnoticed and undisturbed by external forces. Even if some breakthrough anomalies occurred during the process, they would be hard to detect for a while, and by the time they attracted the attention of other powerhouses, Lin Yuan would have already left. Having determined the location for his breakthrough, Lin Yuan walked out of the cultivation chamber. "My lord," Chunhua and Chuyue greeted him warmly. Lin Yuan nodded. Several days later, Lin Yuan instructed Chunhua and Chuyue, "I plan to go into closed-door cultivation soon. Turn away anyone looking for me, including big brother, second sister, father, and mother." "Yes." Chunhua and Chuyue immediately responded. This was not the first time such an event had occurred. Ever since Jun Wuji moved into Cloud Mist Blessed Land decades ago, he had begun to cultivate frensically, spending most of the time in closed-door cultivation. And during this period, no one could disturb him. After instructing Chunhua and Chuyue, Lin Yuan once again entered the cultivation chamber. "Time to leave." Lin Yuan stood inside the chamber, leaving behind a trail of his own scent. This scent could replace him, being sensed by the outside world's Chunhua and Chuyue. At the same time, if anyone broke into this cultivation chamber, no matter how far Lin Yuan was, as long as he was within this realm, he would be able to sense it. After completing all this, Lin Yuan silently left Cloud Mist Blessed Land. This was the second time Lin Yuan had left Cloud Mist Blessed Land since he moved in. The first time was during the grand ceremony of the Immortal sect leader's grandfather in the Hollow Void, on the edge of Central Divine Continent. In an ordinary valley, at some point, a figure appeared. "This place is quite good." Lin Yuan looked at the valley and nodded slightly. This valley was not within the jurisdiction of Central Divine Continent, nor was it in the domain of the barbaric demon beasts, but was in a buffer zone between the two. Here, the Taihao Immortal Mirror of the Daoist Immortal sect could not monitor on its own unless the Immortal sect leader actively stimulated it, specifically sensing this location. But it was very unlikely for the Immortal sect leader to do so without any reason. The reason why the Immortal sect leader had previously activated the Taihao Immortal Mirror and descended into the East Sea was because Lin Yuan had interfered with the Black Gauze Archipelago and disrupted the sect's arrangements. This is it. Lin Yuan arrived at the valley and sat cross-legged in a cave. An ethereal figure walked out from inside Lin Yuan. It was the Yin spirit. This breakthrough was a physical one, so the Yin spirit and Yang spirit were free to protect Lin Yuan. Since Lin Yuan had broken through to the 6th rank, the power of the Yin spirit and Yang spirit had also risen significantly. Even though they were slightly weaker than their original form, they still possessed the combat power of an ancient saint of refined void layer. With an ancient saint protecting his cultivation, Lin Yuan's breakthrough, especially in such a buffer zone, wouldn't matter. He would have ample time to handle any situation that arose. Chapter 252 Flattening the Demon Saint's Nest. Please subscribe. Even if we retreat 10,000 steps, during the breakthrough, the Immortal sect leader holding the founding artifact of the sect might come to kill. The Yin spirit can also take Lin Yuan's true self away. It's merely a matter of failing the breakthrough. For Lin Yuan, there are plenty of ways to compensate. It's not considered a significant loss. Begin. Lin Yuan closed his eyes. Inside his body, the vast vital blood slowly began to boil. You see, Baiyu Island. At the moment Lin Yuan was breaking through, the Yang spirit opened his eyes, looking in the direction where Lin Yuan was. I hope nothing goes wrong. Lin Yuan Yang thought to himself, yet he ceased his seclusion, constantly paying attention to any disturbance during Lin Yuan's breakthrough. If some extreme situation did occur, one where an ancient saint-level powerhouse came to kill, the Yang spirit avatar could rapidly disperse at a crucial moment, then reconvene within the Yin spirit's body. In other words, appearing beside Lin Yuan out of thin air, covering an infinite distance. The Yang god and Yin god are inherently two sides of the same entity. After the Yang god disperses, the Yin spirit, at great cost, can quickly give birth to the power of Tai Yang and in turn, form the Yang god. When the Yin spirit and Yang spirit merge, they transform into the Taiji primordial spirit, whose combat power is by no means weaker than Lin Yuan's true self. Of course, such a technique would cause certain wear and tear on the Yang spirit and Yin spirit, but as long as it ensures the smooth breakthrough of the true self, it is worth some sacrifice. On the other side of the tense buffer zone between Central Divine Continent and the barbaric demon beast forces, Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Jilan stood in the void, commanding a large number of Immortal sect disciples, slaughtering the barbaric demon beasts. It was at this time, Jun Xiaoyao's expression changed slightly. He reached out for a disc-shaped magical artifact. At this moment, its needle was trembling incessantly. This disc artifact was named Demon Sensing Disc. It could sense the movements, numbers, and strengths of demonic beasts within tens of thousands of miles. And just at that moment, the demon sensing disc was vibrating continuously. It must be the esteemed firstborn prince from the demon saint's nest who has awakened. Jun Xiaoyao said solemnly. The firstborn prince? Jun Xilan's expression darkened. The demon saint's nest is a holy land for the barbaric demon beasts, where demon saints on par with ancient saints lie dormant. If not for the demon saint's nest, the barbaric demon beasts would have long been annihilated by the Daoist Immortal sect. How could they still exist until now? And the firstborn prince is the premier progeny of that demon saint within the nest. The strength of the firstborn prince could be said to be the strongest below the ancient saints, and with his demon saint bloodline, could even burst forth with true ancient saint-level combat power for a short period. If that's the case, have all disciples temporarily retreat to the divine continent, Jun Jilan commanded. The barbaric demon beast's firstborn prince was too terrifying. The Daoist Immortal sect indeed had the means to counter him, but there was no need. The firstborn prince had a special bloodline, spending most of his time in slumber, only occasionally waking up to wander around. It can be said that as long as the Daoist Immortal sect avoids the time when the firstborn prince is awake, they need not face such a terrifying opponent. Very well. Jun Xiaoyao nodded. He immediately issued the order. Countless Daoist Immortal sect disciples, who were slaughtering demonic beasts, stopped promptly and headed back to the boundaries of Central Divine Continent. Meanwhile, deep in the barbarian wilderness, a terrifying presence was stirring back to life. Countless demonic beasts, whether great demons or demon kings, were all trembling in fear, lying prostrate on the ground, daring not to move. Boom boom boom. A 1,000 tall figure could be seen slowly approaching, with each step causing the earth to quake and the old aura of the barbarian wilderness hitting one's face. Upon closer inspection, this 1,000 tall figure was, astonishingly, a giant ape. What exactly is the concept of 1,000? Converted into meters, that's 3,000 to 4,000 meters, majestic and towering. Finally awake again. Mother really insists on making me practice that kind of demonic technique. Out of 100 years, I have to sleep for 90. The 1,000 giant ape strode along, paying no mind to the countless demonic beasts it trampled to death. For it, those beasts were no different from ants. Who would care about stepping on a few ants? What fresh air! It's a pity I can only enjoy it for 10 years, the 1,000 giant ape sighed. In 10 years, it would have to continue its slumber, until it woke up again 100 years later. Boom boom boom. The 1,000 giant ape continued on its way. It quickly left the area of the barbarian wilderness and arrived at the border region facing the Central Divine Continent. Those disciples of the Immortal sect are quite clever, all having run off without a trace. The 1,000 giant ape glanced in the direction of the Central Divine Continent, not intending to invade. Although it had slept for nearly 100 years, the giant ape's mind was somewhat slow to react, but it wasn't dumb. Entering the Central Divine Continent would be akin to exposing itself under the Taihao Immortal mirror, constantly vulnerable to an attack from the Immortal sect leader from afar. They'll just stroll around here. The 1,000 giant ape decided to limber up its limbs. Just then, the giant ape seemed to sense something and sniffed with its nose. This aura. The eyes of the 1,000 giant ape lit up. It faintly sensed a vast amount of nature's spiritual energy converging towards a certain location. Is it the appearance of a heaven and earth spirit root? Or is it the ripening of a great herb of this world? The giant ape's huge mouth cracked open. Mine, it's all mine. The 1,000 giant ape immediately strode towards the direction it had sensed. In a valley, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. Virtual body refinement. Feeling the huge surge of vital energy within his body, Lin Yuan's spirits were lifted. Physical body divine ability. Lin Yuan could already feel that deep within his bloodlines, a certain aura had been nurtured to completion, ready to take form at any moment. Just as Lin Yuan was about to check exactly which physical body divine ability it was, suddenly, a thunderous rumbling came from the earth. The next moment, Lin Yuan left the cave. He came up to the top of the valley. What's that? Lin Yuan looked off into the distance. Chapter 253 Flattening the Demon Saint's Nest. Please subscribe. _3. A giant ape, 1,000 tall, was madly rushing in this direction. The great prince of the demon saint's nest? Lin Yuan immediately recognized the other party. After all, this demon was extremely famous, known to be a match for the ancient saint of refinement void, and when it burst forth, it even possessed combat power at the level of an ancient saint. The 1,000 giant ape took huge strides forward. Where is my heaven and earth spirit root? Where is my great medicine of this world? The 1,000 giant ape stopped in its tracks, looking around. With its enormous size, it paid no attention to the valley beneath its feet. To the giant ape, what they called a valley was nothing but a small mound. Huh! Did you steal my heaven and earth spirit root and the great medicine of this world? The 1,000 giant ape scrutinized carefully and soon spotted a figure as tiny as a speck of dust. In the distance, several demonic beasts cautiously observed the 1,000 giant ape. The great prince seems to be in a good mood, a wolf demon muttered under its breath. He too was a demon king of the Mahayana phase, but in front of the 1,000 giant ape, he was no different from those great demons of the nascent soul stage. Some of the human race didn't leave? A demon king next to him seemed to have discovered something and looked towards the minute human figure on top of the valley beneath the giant ape's feet. He probably didn't notice. Too bad, he's going to die under the great prince's feet. The third demon king said quietly, his tone revealing schadenfreude. On his way here, the great prince had crushed countless demonic beasts. Now, stepping on a human, they only felt much more balanced. This human, facing the great prince, is still not running. He might have some strength. Another demon king couldn't help but say, what can a bit of strength do? In front of the great prince, if you're not an ancient saint, you're all just ants. The wolf demon that started the conversation sneered. The great prince of the demon saints' nest represented the strongest combat power just below the demon saint. That's true. The other demonic beasts nodded one after another. There is no spirit root or great medicine here. Lin Yuan stood at the top of the valley and said calmly, Liar. I clearly felt the aura of the spirit root and great medicine. Was it you who stole my spirit root and great medicine? The thousand-zhang giant ape flew into a rage. Its voice buzzed, rolling like thunder, Die. Following that, the thousand-zhang giant ape lifted its right foot and stomped towards Lin Yuan and the valley, intent on crushing them into dust. In the distance, several demonic beasts, witnessing this, looked at Lin Yuan as if they were looking at a dead man. More accurately, none of the demonic beasts' gazes lingered on Lin Yuan, for in the next moment, he would die under the great prince's foot. The great prince's stomp leverages the power of heaven and earth, touches upon the mysteries of space, and even if one had the fastest speed, they couldn't dodge, only endure. Endure the stomp of the great prince? That's not something a human divinity transformation stage heaven lord could do. Only an ancient saint's intervention or life-saving measures of an ancient saint's level such as talismans or magical treasures could save one. Otherwise, death is certain, the demonic beasts quickly discussed. Their gazes were also observing the great prince's stomp, seeking to learn something from it. However, in the next moment, all the demonic beasts froze. They saw the towering thousand-zhang giant ape suddenly stumble and, unable to help itself, retreat several steps, shaking the ground, opening several enormous fissures. In the next instant, the thousand-zhang giant ape was stomped into the ground by someone. Under their incredulous gazes, Lin Yuan, who initially seemed as tiny as a speck of dust, now appeared as a towering giant, stomping the thousand-zhang giant ape directly underfoot. Another stomp, pinning the trying to resist giant ape further into the ground. One more stomp, causing the giant ape to spit out a mouthful of fresh blood as the sound of its bones cracking echoed. It lay bloodied and on the brink of death. If it were before, but Lin Yuan looked down at the giant ape as if looking at an insignificant ant and said calmly, I have already been to the depths of the barbarian wilderness and have flattened the demon saint's nest. Chapter 254 Physical Body Divine Ability, Mu Kinglius Decision, please subscribe. The thousand-yard giant ape was strong. This strength was not limited to its physical body. It was more about the mastery of space and other mysterious rules. If someone thought that the thousand-yard giant ape was just a dumb giant, they were greatly mistaken. He could clash head-on with an ancient saint, the great prince of the barbaric demon beast clan. How could it rely solely on brute force? Unfortunately, the thousand-yard giant ape encountered Lin Yuan. With the strength of the thousand-yard giant ape, even if it truly confronted an ancient saint, it had the ability to save its own life. After all, the demon saint's nest was not far away. If the thousand-yard giant ape could hold out for a while, the demon saint from the demon saint's nest would come to its aid. However, in front of Lin Yuan, who had already stepped into the body cultivation void, the thousand-yard giant ape did not even last a breath before Lin Yuan trampled it to the brink of death with severe injuries. This was the power of the body cultivation void. In the central divine continent, this was an unprecedented power of the body cultivation line. After stepping into the body cultivation void, Lin Yuan faintly felt that with a single punch or kick, he could suppress the surroundings. One force overcomes all laws. This referred to the body cultivation. Since it's almost dead, might as well, Lin Yuan looked down at the thousand-yard giant ape, spitting out blood, and suddenly made up his mind. In the distance, several demonic beasts watching in silence fell absolutely quiet, their gaze frozen. What did they see? Their great prince, in front of that seemingly insignificant member of the human race, had no power to fight back. That was the great prince, capable of contending with an ancient saint. How could he be in such a state in front of Lin Yuan? The demonic beasts looked at one another. They instinctively felt, was their great prince too weak? However, in an instant, these demonic beasts realized. How could the great prince be weak? Throughout his journey, the great prince was famously fierce. They knew it by heart. Since it was not the great prince that was weak, then it must be that the human was too strong. Strong enough that even the great prince had no ability to resist. Who exactly is this ancient saint? Aren't they afraid of causing chaos across the world? The hearts of these demonic beasts trembled. If this insignificant human could incapacitate the great prince with just a few kicks, then it meant this person was undoubtedly at the level of an ancient saint. Currently, Daoist Immortal sect rules the Central Earth, Ghost Palace of Netherworld, Blood Demon Sea, and Demon Saints Nest each occupy the south, north, and west of the Divine Continent, respectively. But these four major forces abide by an unwritten rule. That is, unless absolutely necessary, the ancient saints at the refined void level need not take action. Even over a decade ago, when Daoist Immortal sect's arrangement in the East Sea's Black Gauze archipelago was destroyed, only an incarnation of the mirror descended from the sect master of Daoist Immortal sect, while the original body still sat in power on Mount Morality Immortal. Look, that person, what is he doing? The demonic beasts had scattered thoughts, their pupils suddenly constricting, because they saw that tiny human race being, heading towards the 1,000-feet-tall ape, opened its mouth to inhale. In an instant, the previously gasping 1,000-feet-tall ape saw its inner vitality and blood energy crazily draining away. In less than a moment, it turned into a skeleton. Not bad, not bad. Almost equivalent to several dozen near 6th-rank great medicines. A smile emerged on Lin Yuan's face. He had just broken through to the body cultivation void, and although his combat power had surged, his body was weak due to the breakthrough. This 1,000-feet-tall ape came at just the right time, directly serving as the nourishment for Lin Yuan to compensate for his weakness. Just then, accompanied by the complete fall of the 1,000-feet-tall ape, deep within the barbarian wilderness, a tremendous aura began to awaken. That demon saint? Lin Yuan glanced over. It was no secret that a demon saint was stationed at the barbaric demon saint nest. However, this demon saint was mostly in a slumbering state. Let's go. Lin Yuan had no intention of engaging with that demon saint. It wasn't that Lin Yuan couldn't handle the demon saint, but it was simply pointless. Lin Yuan, not yet at the strength to dominate the world, saw retaining the demon saint to restrain the Daoist Immortal sect as beneficial, with no need to devastate them entirely. A moment later, a terrifying divine sense descended, transforming into an even more majestic and towering giant ape phantom. Who exactly is it? The giant ape phantom let out a deep roar, looking at the corpse of the prince, raging intensely inside. It had held great expectations for the prince, and if everything had gone smoothly, the prince only needed another 5,000 years to reach the refining void ancient saint layer. At that time, the barbaric demon saint nest would possess 2 demon saints, possibly even tamper with the central divine continent. But now, the prince was dead. All its elaborate plans were shattered. In the short run, among the countless demonic beasts of the barbarian wilderness, not one possessed the potential to ascend to demon saint. The giant ape phantom's gaze shifted towards the distant, trembling demonic beasts. Immediately, it raised its right hand, and those few demonic beasts appeared before it. Soul search. The giant ape phantom's mind slightly stirred. The scenes the several demonic beasts had just witnessed became vividly clear before it. Such strength. Seeing Lin Yuan effortlessly kill the prince with several stomps, the giant ape phantom's expression subtly changed. Involving no intricate rules, merely physical strength, such methods originate from the human race's body cultivation. Could this person possibly be a body cultivator in the refining void period? The giant ape phantom muttered to itself. Body cultivators are inherently proficient in physical combat. Their combat power in the same layer is considered extremely strong. However, for various reasons, they have only been a subsidiary to the immortal path. Daoist Immortal sect? They nurtured a body cultivator in the refining layer? The giant ape phantom looked displeased. No matter how one puts it, body cultivators are still a part of the immortal path. Now that a refined void body cultivator has emerged, it could only attribute it to the Daoist Immortal sect. Chapter 255 Physical Body Divine Ability, Mu Kinglius Decision. Please subscribe. _2. Half a day later, a beam of mirror light crossed infinite distances. It descended upon the buffer zone between Central Divine Continent and the barbarian wilderness. The offspring of the demon saint is dead? Daoist Immortal Sect Master Mu Qinglu frowned. Sect Master, at that time, Jun Xiaoyao immediately began to explain. Upon sensing that the great prince of the barbaric demon beasts was about to awaken, Jun Xiaoyao had all the disciples of the numerous immortal sects retreat to the Central Divine Continent for the time being. In addition, Jun Xiaoyao also spied on the movements of the thousand-zhang giant ape from a distance through a secret technique. What he discovered was a terribly shocking scene. A great prince standing 1,000 zhang tall was actually trampled to death by the tiny figure after just a few stomps. Jun Xiaoyao did not see the appearance of that tiny figure, for this person's vitality surged around him, repelling all spells and divine skills. Let me see. The Daoist Immortal Sect Master Mu Qinglu arrived at the scene, and then, with the aid of the light of the Taihao Immortal Mirror, began to trace back. This was the capability of the Taihao Immortal Mirror, which could forcibly trace back to a specific period in a region's past. Of course, the traced-back scenes could not involve levels of refined void. Ancient saints were already influencing the surrounding heaven and earth, the natural nemesis of such tracing back techniques. Buzz. The scene shifted. The next instant, the scene was filled with boundless vitality. Indeed, it is an ancient saint, and furthermore, a body cultivation ancient saint. Daoist Immortal Sect Master Mu Qinglu stayed silent, although the scene did not specifically trace back to anything. But based on Jun Xiaoyao's explanation and the residue aura at the scene, he was already able to deduce many things. A body cultivation ancient saint? Since when did my Central Divine Continent birth such a powerful being? Mu Qinglu thought, frowning. He was unaware whether this body cultivation ancient saint was a friend or a foe to his Daoist Immortal Sect. But beyond doubt, a body cultivation ancient saint skilled in offensive capabilities could completely alter the balance of power among the current four major forces if he wished to. In the north of Divine Continent, Blood Demon Sea. The ruler of the Blood Demons sat cross-legged on a small island deep within the Blood Demon Sea. Although he was also an ancient saint of refinement void, he had merged with the Blood Demon Sea, thus possessing an ability close to immortality. However, he also gave up his freedom as his true body could not leave the Blood Demon Sea's range. Of course, if willing to pay the price, the ruler of the Blood Demons could also enter the Central Divine Continent. That would be by driving the Blood Demon Sea to start expanding. As long as the Blood Demon Sea was vast enough to cover the entire world, the restriction that the ruler of the Blood Demons could not leave the Blood Demon Sea would make no difference. Huh? News from the Demon Saint? The ruler of the Blood Demons raised his eyebrows. In order to jointly resist the Daoist Immortal Sect, the Demon Saint's Nest, the Blood Demon Sea, and the Ghost Palace of Netherworld had always shared intelligence. The enemy of an enemy is a friend. The Daoist Immortal Sect was too powerful. If they did not join forces, they would only face defeat more quickly. A body cultivation ancient saint has appeared? The ruler of the Blood Demons appeared grave. The limit of the lineage of body cultivation was the divinity transformation stage, which is why it was a vassal to the immortal path, and many cultivators always treated body cultivation techniques as a means to strengthen the body and improve health. Even so, if not relying on external objects at the same level, a body cultivator was seldom much weaker than a cultivator of the same level. In some aspects, they might even be stronger. Especially from the divinity transformation stage of the body cultivation lineage, there was an extremely low chance to conceive physical body divine abilities. Body cultivators in the divinity transformation stage had a chance to master physical body divine abilities. Theoretically, body cultivators in the refining void period had an even higher chance of mastering physical body divine abilities. Where did this body cultivation ancient saint come from? Is he the backup of the Daoist Immortal sect? The ruler of the blood demons desperately wanted to know the identity of this body cultivation ancient saint. If this body cultivation ancient saint really came from the Daoist Immortal sect, in the next thousands of years, the blood demon sea, the demon saint's nest, and the ghost palace of Netherworld wouldn't be able to turn the tide and would only be able to hide in their own territories, barely clinging to survival. In the south of Divine Continent, Ghost Palace of Netherworld. A body cultivation ancient saint? The gaunt man sitting on the throne had a bit of a headache. Over the past few decades, too many changes had occurred in the world. First, a master Yuanyang from the East Sea emerged, possessing the strength of a half-step refinement void ancient saint. And now, another body cultivation ancient saint had appeared. As the king of ghost cultivators, how could the gaunt man not know how powerful a body cultivation ancient saint was? Where are all these people coming from? The gaunt man rubbed his brow. Let's not mention that Master Yuanyang from the East Sea for now, with half-step refined void strength, he might be some ascetic master hiding his prowess. But a body cultivation ancient saint? Has such a thing ever emerged throughout history? Shouldn't there be some sort of omen? Like the emergence of a group of body cultivators at the divinity transformation stage first. Then from this group, a body cultivation ancient saint would be born. Only then would it make sense as a gradual progression. Still, I need to investigate this, as to what stance this refinement void ancient saint truly holds. The gaunt man did not believe that this body cultivation ancient saint came from the Daoist Immortal sect. If the latter, known for its domineering style, had actually born a body cultivation ancient saint, they would have announced it impatiently by now. How could there be no news about it until now? Cloud mist blessed land. Lin Yuan appeared silently in the cultivation chamber. No one has noticed. Lin Yuan glanced at the situation in the cloud mist blessed land after leaving for over 10 days. Everything was normal, no one else had come to visit, and Chunhua and Chuyue had been dutifully standing guard outside. Physical body divine ability. Lin Yuan let out a light breath. He faintly felt the pulsation deep within his bloodline, almost fully formed, ready to break out of its shell at any moment. Exactly what kind of physical body divine ability is it? Lin Yuan looked forward with anticipation, quietly waiting. After half a day, the physical body divine ability completely took shape. In an instant, a deluge of information about physical body divine ability flooded into Lin Yuan's mind. Physical body divine ability, blood rebirth? Lin Yuan's eyes shone brightly. This divine ability could be called omnipotent. Whether it was for saving his own life, or for fighting, it had great utility. According to the introduction of this divine ability, as long as Lin Yuan's physical body had not completely turned into nothingness, and there was at least a drop of his blood remaining, he could quickly be reborn. That was truly terrifying. For someone like Lin Yuan, who possessed a martial Tao primordial spirit and was an evolver, even if his physical body collapsed, the primordial spirit still had the power to fight. But for the vast majority of sixth-rank evolvers, without a physical body, although it wouldn't mean death, their soul bodhis and spirit bodhis strength would significantly diminish. First, I will comprehend the fundamental essence of this divine ability. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts and began to study carefully, relying on his against heaven's understanding. The divine ability, blood rebirth, was indeed good, but it came from the bloodline power of Jun Wuji in this world. That is to say, once the time for Lin Yuan to stay was up and he returned to the main world, even if he became a refined void body cultivator again, the awakened physical body divine ability might not necessarily be blood rebirth. After all, the two bodies were different, and their bloodlines were also different. However, as long as he fully understood the essential principle of the blood rebirth divine ability, no matter where Lin Yuan was, he could use this divine ability. The so-called divine skills, the so-called talents, were nothing more than a complex law or Tao. Once its essence was understood, it could be easily deployed. That was the terrifying aspect of Against Heaven's understanding. Study all things, and then utilize all things. Daoist Immortal Sect. At the highest hall, Sect Master Mu Qinglu sat expressionless. I can't wait any longer, Mu Qinglu stood up and muttered to herself. In the buffer zone between Central Earth and the barbarian wilderness, traces of a body cultivation ancient saint had appeared. This made Mu Qinglu somewhat uneasy and also feel a hint of pressure. If this body cultivation ancient saint allied with the Nether Palace, Blood Demon Sea, and Demon Saint's Nest, even though they still wouldn't be able to shake the foundations of the Daoist Immortal Sect, it would indeed cause great chaos across the land. The Daoist Immortal Sect urgently needed a second refinement void ancient saint to preside over it now. Originally, Mu Qinglu wanted to observe for a while longer and choose the final successor between Jun Dongjin and Mu Mengting. But now, there was no more time for that. The resources and methods currently possessed by the Daoist Immortal Sect were only enough to forcibly promote one person to the refining void period. As long as the Immortal Sect has two ancient saints presiding, even if that body cultivation ancient saint joins forces with those three old fools, it won't make a difference, Mu Qinglu thought to herself. Having two ancient saints presiding over Mount Morality Immortal had an effect that wasn't as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Jun Dongzhi, Mu Mengding. The names of these two individuals flickered through Mu Qinglia's mind, and she had already made her decision. Chapter 256 Assassination, Strike, Subscription Requested. Discussing aptitude, it was definitely Jun Dongjin who had the advantage. With a mutated heavenly spiritual root talent, he could easily make it into the top 50 in the history of the Daoist Immortal Sect, spanning hundreds of thousands of years. And Jun Dongjin was a steady person. Should he manage to step into the refining void period, continuing to maintain the Daoist Immortal Sect's dominant position in the central divine continent wouldn't be difficult. However, Jun Dongjin was, after all, an outsider. Even if he married a female cultivator from the Mu family, he was still an outsider. If Jun Dongjin became the future sect master of the Daoist Immortal Sect, he certainly wouldn't allow the Mu family to continue holding sole power. No matter the reasoning, he would suppress the Mu family. That was the instinct of those in power. On the contrary, if Mu Mengting became the next sect master of the Daoist Immortal Sect, such an event wouldn't occur. After all, Mu Mengting was a cultivator from the Mu family. Mu Qinglia's expression was calm. At his level, whoever became the next Immortal Sect leader wouldn't make much difference to him. The most important thing was how to maintain the interests of the Mu family. Moreover, Mu Mengting was only inferior to Jun Dongjin. When compared to other members of the Daoist Immortal Sect, Mu Mengting was already at the peak. With the accumulated heritage of the Daoist Immortal Sect over hundreds of thousands of years, there would be no problem for Mu Mengting to assume the position of sect master. Dongjin, don't blame me, blame it on the fact that you are not from the Mu family, Mu Qinglu thought to himself. In fact, if there were a few more decades or centuries, and if Jun Dongjin were to reach the refining void before Mu Mengting, Mu Qinglu would indeed consider cultivating Jun Dongjin as the Immortal Sect's next-generation leader. Unfortunately, time waits for no one. With both of their progress being similar, Mu Qinglu naturally considered his own family first. Since he decided to cultivate Mu Mengting with all his effort, Mu Qinglu naturally began to suppress Jun Dongjin. Otherwise, if Jun Dongjin saw that Mu Mengting was trying to reach the refining void period with the full support of the sect, he would inevitably become mentally unstable. At that time, no matter what actions he took, it would be a loss for the sect. Thus, Mu Qinglu decided to transfer Jun Dongjin out of the Daoist Immortal Sect ahead of time. With Dongjin's talent, even without the help of the sect, he is still expected to step into the semi-ancient saint level in the future. He'll be the villain and take the initiative to transfer Dongjin's family away. Later on, when Mengting becomes the sect master, we can bring Dongjin back and entrust him with important duties again to win his loyalty. Mu Qinglu thought in his heart. In the world of immortal Tao, individuals wield great power, but controlling a force is not just about having strength. Especially in the Daoist Immortal sect, with the looming threats of the Nether Palace, Demon Saint's Nest, and Blood Demon Sea, a sect master at the ancient saint level needs to be constantly stationed on Mount Morality Immortal. At such times, managing the entire central divine continent depends on whether the subordinates are up to the task. And in Mu Qinglius' view, Jun Dongjin was clearly a very qualified subordinate. Even if he couldn't become the immortal sect leader, serving as an elder in charge could save the sect master a lot of trouble. Mount Morality Immortal. Jun Dongjin, Mu Lianer, Jun Xiaoyao, and Jun Jilan, a family of 4, sat with furrowed brows. What does grandfather mean by sending our whole family to Vast Cliff Mountain? That place is remote, and it doesn't have any important resources. Is there a need for all 4 of us to go? Jun Jilan was somewhat dissatisfied. She had been living comfortably on Mount Morality Immortal, where the spiritual energy was abundant and the cultivation environment was suitable. As for Vast Cliff Mountain, although it was still within the central divine continent, it naturally fell short compared to Mount Morality Immortal. The sect master must have his considerations. Perhaps Vast Cliff Mountain has some important resource that we don't know about? Jun Xiaoyao always thought about issues from the sect master's perspective. He'll go ask father what exactly is going on. Mu Lianer stood up, planning to see Mu Qinglu. She couldn't understand why, out of the blue, her father suddenly issued such an order to their family. In recent years, Jun Dongjin had carried out the tasks assigned by the sect master quite well, without a single mistake, and there was no need for such orders. Lianer, Jun Dongjin hurriedly stopped Mu Lianer. Since the sect master has issued the sect order for this matter, it is already set in stone. If you go, you would make the sect master uncomfortable. Jun Dongjin shook his head and said, "It's just as well. I've been busy with various sect affairs in recent decades. Now that I have some free time, it's a good opportunity to rest. I've heard that Vast Cliff Mountain is surrounded by a large number of mortal kingdoms. It'll take you all to have a good look around when we get there. Dad, you're really optimistic." Jun Jilan rolled her eyes. But there was something Jun Dongjin said that was correct. About their family's relocation, it was made via an official sect order by the sect master. There was no longer any room for changes or turning back. Even if they were reluctant, they had no choice but to follow the order, otherwise, it would be tantamount to betrayal of the immortal sect. Perhaps father just wants to temper your temperaments, and he will call you back soon, Mu Lianer consoled. Mount Morality Immortal. At the Mu family peak, Mu Mengting and a few trusted subordinates arrived at a secret chamber at the top of the mountain. This was one of the few places in the central divine continent unaffected by the surveillance of the Taihao Immortal Mirror. Mengting brother, have you heard? That Jun Dongjin is going to be transferred out, and his whole family is going to Vast Cliff Mountain to take charge. A round-faced man spoke in a low voice, his tone betraying a sense of pleasure. Over the years, Mu Mengting and Jun Dongjin had fought openly and covertly countless times for the position of sect master. With Jun Dongjin being a mutated heavenly spiritual root, he was quite well liked within the sect and valued by those supreme elders. Thus, even with the backing of the Mu family, Mu Mengting often found himself at a disadvantage. His subordinates felt the pinch even more than Mu Mengting himself did. Now, hearing that Jun Dongjin's family was about to be transferred, their pleasure was easy to imagine. Chapter 257 Assassination, Strike, Subscription Requested, _2. If it hadn't been for the sect rules, they would probably have started celebrating outside already. Why does the sect master want to reassign the entire Jun Dongjin family? Mu Mengting was also in a good mood, yet he began to ponder. He didn't know that sect master Mu Qinglu had already planned to choose him as the future sect master, and reassigning Jun Dongjin was also for his sake. And it was for the layout of taking over Jun Dongjin in the future. I heard that recently, a major event occurred in the barbarian wilderness. The second subordinate spoke up. The big prince of the demon saint's nest died, apparently at the hands of an ancient saint. I have heard about that too. Mu Mengting nodded. However, exactly how it happened and which ancient saint had acted, no one knew. The sect master must know, but since he didn't say it himself, no one dared to ask. Mengting brother, whether it has anything to do with this incident or not. None of this is important. Now, there is an unprecedented opportunity. Though Jun Dongjin has been reassigned from the Immortal sect, it doesn't mean he won't come back. The third subordinate lowered his voice. What do you mean? Mu Mengting's expression changed slightly. Hee. In the past, Jun Dongjin always had a large number of subordinates with him. But this time, the reassignment order from the sect master specifically instructed only Jun Dongjin's family of 4 to go to Vast Cliff Mountain. If Jun Dongjin's family dies on the journey, it shouldn't be hard, right? This subordinate's tone was cold. The Taihao immortal realm envelopes the entire central divine continent. Any action by us would be exposed. Mu Mengting shook his head as he said. The Taihao immortal mirror monitors foreign energies. If cultivators from the Blood Demon Sea, Demon Saint's Nest, or Ghost Palace of Netherworld dare to enter the central divine continent, the immortal mirror would certainly detect them. But if it's an energy exerted by a former sect master, even if the immortal mirror detects it, there won't be any reaction. The subordinate continued speaking. Are you suggesting I use the symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage left by the predecessors of our immortal sect? Mu Mengting said, a talisman is created by using special methods to retain the power of one's strike within the corresponding paper. If someone later activates the talisman, it's equivalent to unleashing the power stored inside it. Daoist Immortal sect has been inherited for hundreds of thousands of years, with each sect master of the refining void period leaving behind some talismans, each preserving their full strike power. All previous refining void period sect masters had once been masters of the Taihao immortal mirror. Their exerted energies were not within the Taihao immortal mirror's alarm range. No, it may not be detected at the time. But if the sect master investigates afterward, exposure is inevitable. Mu Mengting still shook his head. If Jun Dongjin were to die, the sect master would surely investigate. With the retrospective ability of the Taihao immortal mirror, his methods couldn't possibly remain hidden. Yes, the sect master would certainly know. But by then Jun Dongjin would already be dead. In the Daoist Immortal sect, only you, Brother Mengting, are capable of succeeding the position of sect master. The subordinate continued speaking. There are many disciples in the Daoist Immortal sect, and not lacking in geniuses. Besides me, there are plenty of disciples who could be chosen for the sect master position. Mu Mengting remained somewhat hesitant. Mengting brother, you underestimate your standing within the sect too much. Unless the Immortal sect can once again produce someone with a mutated heavenly spiritual root like Jun Dongjin. Otherwise, within 1,000 years, you are the most suitable candidate for sect master, and there's something I don't know if I should say. Our Daoist Immortal sect's sect masters have a tenure of at most 15,000 years, and now sect master Mu is already nearing 12,000 years. Mengting brother, you are also a member of the Mu family, a direct descendant of the sect master. Besides Jun Dongjin, whom else would he cultivate if not you? But if Jun Dongjin lives and comes back, it would be uncertain whose hands the future sect master position would fall into. Hearing his confidant subordinate's suggestion, Mu Mengting's expression fluctuated unpredictably. All right. After a long time, Mu Mengting suddenly stood up, his eyes cold as he spoke. Outside cloud mist blessed land, Jun Dongjin, Mu Lianer, and their children Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Jilan were saying goodbye to Lin Yuan. Little brother, just stay well in cloud mist blessed land. Jun Jilan said reluctantly. The sect's order only required Jun Dongjin's family of 4 to go to Vast Cliff Mountain. As for Wuji, their perennially reclusive youngest son, he was not included. Perhaps in Mu Kinglius' eyes, Wuji didn't warrant attention. What significance does a golden core stage body cultivator have for the Daoist Immortal sect? Moreover, since Wuji had joined the Cloud Mist Blessed Land, he had never taken the initiative to enter Mount Morality Immortal, making him an absolutely harmless entity. Be careful on your way. Lin Yuan looked towards Jun Dongjin and Mu Lianer and said, "What's there to be careful about? That vast cliff mountain is also under the protection of the Taihao immortal mirror's power within the central divine continent. Those wastrels from the Ghost Palace, Demon Saint's Nest and Blood Demon Sea, could they possibly dare to attack me?" Jun Dongjin said with a smile. Clearly, he was very confident in his sect's founding artifact. "Regardless, it's always safe to be cautious," Lin Yuan said. "External enemies are not to be feared. The real threat comes from enemies within. For example, there's Mu Mengting." Through years of understanding, Lin Yuan knew that Mu Mengting was the type to hold grudges. It's not that such a personality is bad in a cultivator, but one must always be on guard. "Understood. Then we'll take our leave first." Jun Dongjin waved his hand, and then left with Mu Lianer, Jun Xiaoyao, and Jun Jilan. Lin Yuan watched as Jun Dongjin and the others disappeared. He then turned and returned to the cloud mist-blessed land. In the cultivation chamber, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. "Go, follow them," Lin Yuan thought briefly. The Taiyin primordial spirit emerged from his body and quickly disappeared from the spot. Vast Cliff Ancient Path. This is the essential path that leads to Vast Cliff Mountain. In the dense forest beside the ancient path, several figures were all stationed there. These figures, with concealed auras, were all Mahayana phase heaven lords. "They've arrived. That Jun Dongjin's family is almost here." The figures carefully observed, sensing the aura thousands of miles away. Soon, a jade chariot arrived swiftly, clearly a top-notch flying ship talisman. "Later, we won't need to act personally, just jointly activate this talisman," said the leading figure, struggling to pull out a pale golden talisman from his storage bag. This pale golden talisman, even without being activated, emitted an immensely terrifying power. The symbol talisman of the refined void stage. The surrounding figures looked at the talisman with intense interest. This was a foundation of the Daoist Immortal sect. If it weren't for Mu Mengting bringing monks from the Mu family, let alone taking out a refined void stage talisman, they wouldn't even get to touch it. As soon as that jade chariot, the leading divinity transformation monarch began to make arrangements. The symbol talisman of the refined void stage, just to activate it, required all these divinity transformation monarchs to join forces. Suddenly, at that moment, under the watchful eyes of several divinity transformation monarchs, the pale golden symbol talisman of the refined void stage, as if stimulated, suddenly activated itself. Hum! The symbol talisman of the refined void stage exploded. It formed an illusory defensive barrier. But the next moment, the defensive barrier shattered. From the talisman's self-activation to the explosion of the formed barrier, everything happened in the blink of an eye. Even for divinity transformation monarchs, they were somewhat dumbfounded at that moment. What just happened? This. The leading divinity transformation stage cultivator, as if he realized something, his face showed a look of terror. The symbol talisman of the refined void stage. Generally, there are two ways to use it. One is active activation, which is offensive. The other is passive defense, which activates itself when facing an irresistible threat, forming a defensive barrier. This method, even when facing an attack from an ancient saint of the same level, could withstand for a moment. However, just now, the defensive barrier formed by the symbol talisman of the refined void stage lasted only a moment. The leading divinity transformation monarch trembled. He instinctively looked towards the sky. Between heaven and earth, an ancient and vast breath had emerged at some unknown time, overshadowing the sun and the sky. This divinity transformation monarch could vaguely see that above the vault of heaven, under that bright moon, a figure emitting yin energy almost merging with the moon appeared. This figure, though under the bright moon, seemed to encompass the entire moon. He had his left hand behind his back and his right hand stretched downward, as if to crush a few ants, but seemed to be momentarily halted by some obstruction. Chapter 258 Ancient Saint of Refinement Void, merely SOSO, seeking subscriptions. The bright moon hung high. The power of Taiyin permeated the air. Lin Yuan looked down, gazing at those Mahayana phase heaven lords with weak knees. Following behind Jun Dongjin and the others, the Taiyin primordial spirit's perception was vast. It detected an ambush from tens of thousands of miles away. Thus, he arrived ahead of time, planning to crush them with ease. It was just that the power of the symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage was still within Lin Yuan's expectations. Could it really block his attack for a moment? The immortal cultivation system does have its unique advantages. Thoughts churned through Lin Yuan's mind, such as the talismanic path that could preserve the power of an ancient saint of refinement void almost perfectly intact. The mysteries involved left Lin Yuan somewhat astounded. Boom! At that moment, in the center of the central divine continent, a terrifying aura suddenly erupted. A light that emitted immeasurable brightness and immeasurable catastrophes descended in an instant, and a mirror-light incarnation condensed. Then it directly delivered a strike towards Lin Yuan. This strike subtly caused the surrounding space to stiffen, its fearsome power sweeping across every inch of air. A common divinity transformation stage heaven lord, or even the great prince of the barbaric demon Saint Nest if resurrected, would risk perishing directly if they dared to resist this attack outright, its might suggesting it was close to the pinnacle of hollow void realm of the ethereal refinement stage. Tai Hao Immortal Mirror? Troublesome. Lin Yuan's brows knitted slightly. He had been very careful just now to contain his power, yet he was still detected by the Tai Hao Immortal Mirror, which descended directly. However, it might not be the Tai Hao Immortal Mirror sensing Lin Yuan's intervention. Perhaps it was the shattering of that symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage that caused the Tai Hao Immortal Realm to sense something. Rustling. Lin Yuan retreated a step. With his sleeves fluttering, he nonchalantly blocked the strike that almost reached the pinnacle of the hollow void realm of the ethereal refinement stage. Invisible shocks spread out in all directions, and had the clash of powers between these two ancient saints not been intentionally contained, thousands of miles of the land would already have begun to crack. Thousands of miles away, Jun Dongjin and the others, riding a jade chariot treasure, approached slightly and immediately detected the clash of ancient saint powers. Are two ancient saints fighting? One of them is the sect master, but who is the other? Jun Dongjin was greatly surprised. There were only a handful of refinement void ancient saints in the world, each with a distinguished reputation. Where is it? Jun Dongjin looked up at the sky and saw two figures confronting each other. The one on the left, surrounded by immortal light, was none other than the mirror incarnation of the immortal sect leader, Mu Qinglu. The figure on the right, with fluttering sleeves and blurred face, stood under the bright moon, their presence as vast as the moon itself. The power of Tain, could it be the ghost cultivator king from the Nether Palace? Jun Dongjin speculated in his heart. Of all ancient saints, only the ghost cultivator king's aura came closest to this figure. Father, what is that? Jun Jilan seemed to have discovered something and whispered while pointing in a certain direction. Following her gaze, Jun Dongjin saw several divinity transformation stage heaven lords trembling in a hidden corner. These heaven lords were pale-faced and lacked even the courage to flee. Who are they? Jun Dongjin observed carefully. In the central divine continent, including the East Sea, the barbarian wilderness, the blood demon sea, and the Nether Palace, there were several known strong individuals who had reached the divinity transformation stage. The aura of a symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage. Jun Dongjin's expression turned solemn. He vaguely sensed the aura of a symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage around these terror-stricken divinity transformation stage heaven lords. A symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage. In today's world, only the Daoist immortal sect could make such a thing. It's not that having the strength of the refining void period allows you to leave behind a talisman of that stage. Creating one requires a specific level of talent in talismanic paths, and a certain core material of the talisman is unique to the Daoist immortal sect. That is to say, the faint aura of the symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage that Jun Dongjin sensed could only come from the Daoist immortal sect. This symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage must belong to the 21st generation sect master of the immortal sect, Mu Shoujua, Jun Dongjin thought silently to himself. Each ancient saint was unique, and a symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage bears the full force strike of one such saint. Therefore, just by the aura of the talisman, one could distinguish which ancient saint it was from, especially with the Daoist immortal sect's heritage spanning hundreds of thousands of years. Every sect leader who reached the level of an ancient saint of refinement void was enshrined and worshipped by countless disciples of the sect. The Mu family's symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage. Jun Dongjin's feelings were mixed. The Mu family, as one of the three main veins of the Immortal sect, had produced more than one sect leader of the ethereal refinement period. Mu Shouzhua, the 21st generation sect master, and Mu Qinglu, the current, 30th generation sect master. Both came from the Mu family. Jun Dongjin was no fool. On the Vast Cliff Ancient Path, a necessary route to Vast Cliff Mountain, several divinity transformation stage heaven lords lay in ambush, holding symbol talismans of the ethereal refinement stage in hand. What do they intend to do? Sect Master. Jun Dongjin sighed softly in his heart. He knew these people were definitely not arranged by the Sect Master. If the Sect Master wanted to kill him, there was no need for such trouble. Suppression with the Taihao Immortal Mirror would suffice. There was no point in wasting a symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage. But if it wasn't the Sect Master's doing, it was done by someone from the Mu family. And it would have been one of the Mu family's high-ranking members, as no one else could have taken a reflecting void symbol talisman that belonged to their ancestor. Does Mu Mengting want to eliminate me root and branch? Jun Dongjin felt somewhat disheartened for a moment. He admitted there was competition between him and Mu Mengting, the two frequently clashing. But that was all out in the open. It's normal for disciples of the Immortal sect to have disagreements, but now, Mu Mengting was actually making a move to kill. Chapter 259 The Ancient Saint of Refined Void, just SOSO, subscribe please, _2. Beneath the high sky, the Immortal sect leader Mu Qinglu, with the aid of the Taihao Immortal Mirror, descended in a mirror incarnation and gazed solemnly at Lin Yuan. From the brief exchange they just had, Mu Qinglu inferred that the strength of the formidable individual before him was at least at the peak of the hollow void realm. Though his true self hadn't descended, the area was still within the bounds of the central divine continent, enveloped by the might of the Taihao Immortal Mirror. The avatar descended by the mirror's light would require, at the very least, a cultivator of the refinement void Dongshu layer to withstand. And the fact that Lin Yuan could so effortlessly block that strike indicated that he possessed, at a minimum, the combat power of someone at the peak of the hollow void realm. Who exactly are you? Mu Qinglu scrutinized Lin Yuan, noting the similarity between his aura and that of the Ghost Cultivator King from the Ghost Palace of Netherworld. Both were of the power of Tain. However, Mu Qinglu keenly sensed a difference. Compared to the Ghost Cultivator King, the aura emanating from Lin Yuan was much purer, almost as though he was an incarnation of the infinite power of Taiyin itself. Who I am is not important. What's interesting is the overt and covert struggles within your immortal sect. Lin Yuan glanced at the trembling Mahayana phase heaven lords below and the jade carriage artifact that had stopped in the distance. Overt and covert struggles? Mu Qinglu internally sighed. The moment he descended, after sensing the presence of the symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage, he had already figured out most of the situation. Mu Qinglu could never have imagined that Mu Mengting had such a small-mindedness. Even though he had sent Jun Dongjin's family to the remote Vast Cliff Mountain, far from the Immortal sect's power core, Mu Mengting still harbored such wariness toward Jun Dongjin, daring to strike en route. This is an internal matter of the Immortal sect, which should be irrelevant to you, Mu Qinglu said with a composed expression. In truth, he had been keeping tabs on Jun Dongjin's whereabouts all along. Even if Lin Yuan hadn't intervened, the very instant those Mahayana heavenly monarchs activated the symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage, he would have been alerted. For Mu Qinglu, his concern rested with the overall direction of the Daoist Immortal sect. Jun Dongjin possessed a talent rarely seen, And even if he couldn't become the sect master, he was someone that could be of significant use and absolutely must not die. In fact, whether one becomes the sect master of the immortal sect is not of utmost importance. As long as one can step into the refined void stage and wield the founding artifact of the sect, one would be invincible in this world. As for the ultimate stages within the refining void period, entering void, hollow void, or refined void, there isn't any fundamental difference. This was also the reason why, despite knowing that Jun Dongjin had higher potential than Mu Mengting, the latter was still chosen. Mu Mengting was also born with a heavenly spiritual root, and with many foundations within the immortal sect like the 9 heavens glazed water and other treasures, there shouldn't be any problem breaking through to the refining void stage. To put it simply, the advantage of talent held by Jun Dongjin was not indispensable. But the advantage that Mu Mengting had, which stemmed from being part of the Mu family, was something Jun Dongjin lacked. If this generation of the Mu family did not have a talented disciple like Mu Mengting, Mu Qinglu, for the future of the immortal sect, would definitely choose to cultivate Jun Dongjin as the next sect master. Daring to meddle in the affairs of my immortal sect, I'd like to see on what grounds you do so. Mu Qinglu raised his right hand, and an illusory image of a mirror appeared. It was the projection of the Taihao immortal mirror, the founding artifact of the sect. Mu Qinglia's true body, together with the genuine Taihao immortal mirror, resided at Mount Morality Immortal and were not to emerge lightly. However, the avatar reflected by the mirror light and the mirror's projection could descend to any place in this world. Especially within the range of the central divine continent, it could retain the power of the refinement void stage. In an instant, Mu Qinglu struck once more. To the 9 heavens. Lin Yuan's form vanished, and when he reappeared, he had already traversed tens of thousands of meters to reach the high heavens. Ancient saints of this realm who engage in battle typically take the 9 heavens as their battleground. The space here is more vast, allowing ancient saints to unleash their full power. In the north of the divine continent, the blood demon sea stirred, its blood-red waters rippling gently. On a secluded island deep within, the master of the blood demon's expression subtly changed. Ancient saints clashing in the 9 heavens? The blood demon master looked up, gazing toward a certain direction. A casual blow from an ancient saint can shake the heavens and the earth, let alone a battle between 2 such beings? Such fluctuations in aura, while perhaps imperceptible to lower-level cultivators, would be unmistakably clear to anyone in the refining void stage, with no detail overlooked. Is it that old fellow Mu Qinglu? It should only be his mirror incarnation, but since the location is within the central divine continent, even if it's just a mirror incarnation, it still possesses the combat power of the peak of the hollow void realm. Which ancient saint would dare to make a move here against Mu Qinglu? The blood demon master was somewhat in disbelief. Normally, no ancient saint would willingly engage Mu Qinglu within the bounds of the central divine continent. Because that wouldn't be a normal fight. Mu Qinglu, with the founding artifact of the sect in hand, is invincible in this world, and his combat and killing powers surpass the limits of the refining void stage. As for the avatar created from the mirror's light, it might be weaker, but what would be the point in battling with an avatar? Having paid a huge price to win, Mu Qinglu only lost an avatar, which would recover in half an hour with the power of the founding artifact of the sect. If he had lost, then he would have been chased and beaten by the mirror avatar, devoid of any dignity befitting an ancient saint. This aura, the power of Taiyin, is it that old Yin god? Wasn't the Yin god quite cowardly before? How come he has such courage this time? The blood demon prime god was surprised. Barbaric demon Saint Nest. The colossal ape demon Saint also felt the fluctuations of an ancient saint-level battle. Rare indeed, that old Yin god, he actually made a move this time? The ape demon Saint clicked his tongue in amazement. For beings like them, there wasn't much entertainment, but they would definitely pay attention to a battle at their level. South of Divine Continent. Ghost Palace of Netherworld. A gaunt man sat on the throne. Feeling the fluctuations of an ancient saint-level fight, he fell into contemplation. The gaunt man's eyebrows were tightly furrowed, The aura of the ancient saint battling with Mu Qinglu did indeed somewhat resemble his. But it was just that, similar. Ghost cultivators wield the power of Taiyin, but they also encompass the Yuming death qi. However, that figure was entirely powered by the power of Taiyin, and its power of Taiyin was much purer, to the extent that even a refinement void layer ghost cultivator like the Gaunt Man couldn't compare. Who exactly is it? The Gaunt Man immediately contacted the Blood Demon Prime God and the Demon Saint of the Nest, clarifying that he hadn't battled with Mu Qinglu and inquiring about the identity of the battling ancient saint. Cloud Mist Blessed Land. Lin Yuan lay lazily on the top floor of a mountain loft. At the same time, he was paying attention to the movements of the Daoist Immortal sect. Cloud Mist Blessed Land wasn't far from the Daoist Immortal sect, only tens of thousands of miles away, and Lin Yuan's current perceptive abilities could easily cover that distance. Lin Yuan faintly sensed the shifting qi in the Daoist Immortal sect. Mu Qinglu, holding the founding artifact of the sect, wanted to send the true body of the immortal artifact to the 9 heavens, to thoroughly detain that mysterious Taiyin ancient saint. The consciousness synchronized. In the 9 heavens above, Lin Yuan's God glanced in the direction of the Daoist Immortal sect, repelled Mu Qinglu with one strike, his figure dispersed, turning into wisps of the power of Taiyin, vanishing between heaven and earth. Ran away. Mu Qinglius' expression was ugly. He had been thinking about joining with his true form to deliver a fatal blow to this mysterious ancient saint. The opponent had run away? Is it a coincidence, or? Mu Qinglius' expression was grave as he too disappeared from sight. The battle between Lin Yuan and Mu Qinglu had a significant impact on Central Divine Continent, as well as the Blood Demon Sea, Nether Palace, and Barbarian East Sea. This was an ancient saint-level battle, which might not occur even once in many years. Refining void ancient saints, there were only a few in the entire world, and under the suppression of the Daoist Immortal sect, the ancient saints rarely took action. Not to mention that one of the participating ancient saints this time was Mu Qinglu, the sect master of the Daoist Immortal sect. E.C. Baiyu Island. The numerous disciples of Baiyu Island were also discussing the matter of the ancient saints' battle. Have you heard? In the 9 heavens above Central Divine Continent, there was a battle between ancient saints not long ago. Ancient saints? Refining void ancient saints? Good heavens, even such beings would engage in combat? It's unclear, but one of the refining void ancient saints involved in the battle is the sect master of the Daoist Immortal sect, who has already stepped into the hollow void realm. I heard that the piece of 9 heavens where the 2 ancient saints fought, the gang winds tore apart, and the murderous intent belonging to the ancient saints hasn't dissipated even now. Ordinary Mahayana heavenly monarchs don't dare to get close. That's a refining void ancient saint. It's a good thing the battlefield was in the 9 heavens. If it were in Central Divine Continent, refining void ancient saints, I wonder when we'll get to see such powerhouses for ourselves. On Baiyu Island, many disciples conversed in low voices during their rest, their tones filled with longing. At the core area of Baiyu Island, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. The conversations of the disciples on the island naturally couldn't escape his attention. Refining void ancient saints? Lin Yuan slowly stood up, walked outside, and casually sat on a huge rock, glancing in the direction of the Daoist Immortal sect in Central Divine Continent, and smiled faintly, merely so. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.